All right. All right. I'm thinking I might be back. Let's see if that worked. I'm not sure if that did work. I will give it a second. Okay, there we go. There's somebody. Yes. So, all right. All right. Let's you and I sit down and have a little talk, okay? About the state of affairs. I'm just not doing Twitch tonight. That nearly broke me. For everybody who was on the minute and 30-second stream I had 10 minutes ago, I've basically just been crying since that one ended and this one started. So, yeah. I feel bad because I imagine some people got like 18 different notifications of me going live, the amount of times that started and stopped. But apparently OBS is not greatly suited for multi-streaming. I don't know. That tech continues to evade me, but it is something I will figure out at some point. I have the will. Reading the comments on the last VOD, why is everyone calling you and chat sexist? Well, I'll get into that. Just give me a moment to catch my breath first after that OBS fiasco. That was horrific. Oh my gosh. Anyway. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I feel bad, but it was like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I'm not gonna be like an old man and sit here and complain about my technology woes. Anyway. All right. Here's the situation. Let me explain the title. I have recently been informed that this mustache is ginger. I learn something new every day on YouTube about myself, apparently. I never got the Dr. House allegations until I started doing YouTube. And so now I'm Dr. House, I'm Brad Taste in Music, and we've added, a third plane has hit the towers. I am now also a ginger. So, things keep stacking up. And apparently I'm a misogynist too. But anyway, that's the state of affairs on that. Okay. Now, let me hop over here. That is my own. Hold on. How do I get that out of here? Here is me frantically looking up stuff to try and figure out how to use OBS. Don't mind that. Oh, RPM, thanks for the $5. Girl, it couldn't be recent information. Your hair is like dark brown with red undertones. My mom one time was like, oh, your facial hair looks a little red sometimes, but no one's ever called me a ginger before. Okay. So, Riley Elena made an expose on social repose. I made a video about that situation. Now, I came into the saga here, as did many people. This was the first one which he DMCA'd, and now it's back up. So a lot of people were telling me that none of the other 4 videos she made, really, or at least the 3 preceding it, make any sense unless if you have the context of the first video, which I think that disconnect kind of led to some of the friction which I alluded to between her audience and my audience. Now, there was a little bit of friction's the best word for it. All right, there's a little bit of back and forth, but I'll say for the record, the Gingers are all one happy family. Okay, and I know I have a decent chunk of people who are also like crossover watchers of our channels, which I think is really cool. So, insofar as I know, there's no bad blood. I talked to her briefly. It was like, yeah, you're cool. I'm cool. We're good to go. So I'll dispel that right away. You know, I criticized some of her logic and some of her methodologies when we were going over the more recent videos. Everyone keeps telling me that this first video is like the Rosetta Stone. Again, as per usual, have not pre-watched anything. Okay. I think I've gotten all the like disclaimers out of the way. So that being said, this is her initial expose on social repose, in which she had apparently the lion's share of her evidence outside of the new evidence she dropped in this most recent video, which I did go over on stream. Okay.
Hi guys, how are you doing today? I hope you are all doing very well. Again, this line, I probably look super crazy. I got Invisalign finally. I've been meaning to get it for over a year. As you can probably tell, I am still figuring out how to talk with them, so I might sound a little weird. I might have a little bit of a lisp sometimes. I'll try to remember to correct myself if that happens, but yeah, it is what it is. Today we are talking about social repos. I did not plan for this to be a two-part deep dive. Nope, I did not. I thought this was going to be one long video, like my Jake Monroe video. And then I started researching, and I found many things that, number one, I did not know, that I was discovering for the first time, and number two, was absolutely not prepared for. So here we are. Normally I can yap and yap and yap and yap, and I usually have some kind of long, lengthy intro with a lot of disclaimers and whatever, and I normally get yelled at for that in the comments, but honestly, I don't even have anything to say. I don't even have anything to say. This is...
I don't even have anything to say. 2 hour and 23-minute video. I love that. I love that. I like that she can really
truly not
go deep.
Expecting. I am going to give more specific content warnings later on in the video when we get to those points, but FYI, we are going to be talking about a lot of different people with a lot of different allegations, some of which technically have not been proven or prosecuted. Not that that means anything with what we know with the statistics and data we have on reporting and prosecution. Just a warning for that. And I also must state that these are all my opinions based on evidence, but all my opinions based on evidence, and everything I am about to state in this video is going to be backed up by evidence. And the things that are not backed up by evidence, I will plainly state as my opinions. And I urge you all to do your own research and formulate your own opinions. Trust me, I think you'll find that if you do your own research, you'll agree with most of the opinions I express in this video. So who exactly is social repose? Social repose is a few things. First and foremost, social repose started out as a band, which then evolved into an internet persona. But the person behind social repose is a man named Richard McLean Geese, born on February 9th, 1990, making him 35 years old currently. He was born in Cabin John, Maryland, and raised by his mother and father alongside his twin sister. Richie has multiple social media platforms, all with their own very considerable following, including 1.2 million on YouTube, 1.2 million on Facebook, 2 million on Instagram, and a whopping 5 million on TikTok. Richie is the largest creator I have covered on this channel to date. Yes, don't get me wrong, Onision was very famous and also had a...
The people saying, "Oh no, not her," are the reason people are calling us sexist. Yeah, I mean, we're just not gonna engage with that. We're just not gonna engage with that. Again, like, I think there was a bit of a knee-jerk reaction on some of her fans' part. That's what I'll say about that. But we all like each other. All right. Well, some people don't like me, but in terms of on officially, okay. These are allied territories. Okay, I want to stress that.
A lot of very
I definitely like clowned on some of her long-windedness and shit and stuff like that, and disagreed with her arguments in other live streams, and that's what perturbed a lot of her ride or die fans. But I do that with everybody.
Large followings on multiple different YouTube channels and social medias, yes, but Onision is no longer relevant in the way that Richie somehow, mysteriously, still very much is. And if you are wondering, yes, I am terrified. Richie has actually not revealed too much about what his upbringing was like on his social media pages, but from what I could find, it seems that Richie was always a very ambitious child. In his
This is like, because I see people talking about her like yapping style. I mean, that might just be like the type of communication that her audience enjoys. I'm not sure. Because I very much have the opposite thing. I try and cut all of the fat I can possibly cut off of my videos. But I think maybe the vibe is just a little more conversational, perhaps.
December 3rd, 2011, Richie explained how growing up his main ambition was to become an astronaut.
So when I was a little itty-bitty kid about that high, I always wanted to be an astronaut when I grew up. And I truly thought that this dream could work out if I applied myself enough, until I took calculus in high school, and my calculus teacher told me I could never be an astronaut, or anything.
Look at me now. Look at me now.
I'm a lot louder than the video. Oh, that's probably because I have it all the way down here. Fuck. My bad.
He was unfortunately discouraged from pursuing that dream at a young age. He decided to pursue music instead.
So I kind of surrounded myself with a ton of hobbies and just things to do, and even if I sucked at them, I still did them just to kind of, see if I liked them. And eventually I found my calling, which was music and film.
Aside from that, it seems Richie did not have the best experience in school, especially middle and high school, as he was the target of intense bullying by his peers. And due to this, he has stated that for a good portion of his life, he has struggled.
All right, no disrespect. I am gonna bump this up a little bit. I'm gonna bump this up a little bit.
With severe depression / self-indulgence.
I'm not gonna go 4x this time.
And he describes this feeling as the void.
Well, I'm gonna put in my 2 cents. So I kind of grew up with bullying. I hated middle school and high school because I was kind of picked on growing up in public schools, and mainly because I was quiet and kind of a wallflower. I played a lot of video games. I was like relatively inoffensive as a kid. I think people with a lot of personal problems and inner demons took that as an easy target. So they did pick on me a lot. For a good portion of my life, I was definitely suicidal. I was incredibly depressed. Chronically depressed. It's just something that never seemed to go away. Have you ever sneezed during class and no one said bless you? It's probably because you're a loser, just like me in high school. I was kind of treated depression like a really bad breakup. When you get broken up with or you break up with someone, it's just kind of this big void in your life. It's this big open space and you don't know what to do with it. And that's kind of what depression was for me. It's just kind of like you just sit around, you sleep, you fill it by eating and just whatever. Just kind of not productive things.
So Richie very much faced challenges growing up. But this did not stop him from dreaming big, and he was determined to make it as a musician. Upon graduating high school, Richie decided to attend college and majored in film production at American University in Washington, D.C. And he would put this degree to good use, as he did all of the production for his own music videos. And aside from film production, Richie has also been writing music since high school and is self-taught on several different instruments, including guitar, ukulele, piano, drums, and is also a self-taught vocalist. Richie had already been making music and performing shows by the time he started his YouTube channel on April 22nd, 2011. And he uploaded his very first video one day later on April 23rd, 2011, which was his music video for his single Helium House. In this music video, he gets broken up with while his friend is also dressed as Darth Vader. I don't know why, and I didn't initially assume it was his friend, and it was only until I looked at later vlogs and he stated it was his friend dressed in the Darth Vader costume.
It's got Darth Vader in it. I made my friend dress up in a Darth Vader outfit for about a week and run around in public, and people had no idea.
My main issue is that there's other victims and they did want to pursue charges. Now he's removed everything. He deactivated that Facebook / anything left up where evidence could be. Yeah. That's why but the thing is, like, you can't just like not do exposés on people for that reason, you know? So now I try to like keep files of people I do exposés on for exactly that reason, which I think is a good practice. I have a, you know, I have the little folder of death for all the pedos and whatnot I do videos on, just in case they start wiping things, which they usually do.
What to do.
I don't know. But this has 71,000 views to date. Richie initially was uploading his music.
Ray's here.
Just lyric videos.
Sorry, I don't think we're chill like that. I just read your username. What's up, Riley?
And then on July 9th, 2011,
See, we're
he
cool
uploaded
with each
his
other,
first
okay?
vlog, which he calls a vlog.
Riley, tell them we're cool.
I'm
I'm just
Richie from
kidding.
Social Repose, and you're watching my second vlog, Q Graphic.
And he would continue to post these vlogs, all numbered, alongside his lyric videos, music videos, and even some clips from his live performances, including this one, where he performs a cover of Trailer Trash by Modest Mouse. Now, admittedly, I am a pretty big Modest Mouse fan, okay? In fact, I've seen them live 3 times. I am a fan, a big fan. And I am very familiar with the song Trailer Trash. I do not ever recall the lyrics, "I'm sorry if I f***ed you over, and I'm sorry if I f***ed your friends." But I wanted to double check and make sure I wasn't wrong. Sure enough, those are not lyrics in the song. In fact, that was Richie's own original spin on the classic Modest Mouse track. It's just so funny that even back in 2011, like long before he blew up online, he was telling us exactly the person he is. But in his first vlog, Richie explains what Social Repose actually is and also talks about his EP titled the Paradise EP.
Well, hello, I'm Richie, or Social Repose, and this is my first video log, or blog. I told you guys I would do this probably about a month ago or so, but I've been kind of lazy, so I'm finally getting around to doing it. So some quick information on Social Repose. It's not really a band, it's more a project. It's just me on my little mic record, making silly little riffs and putting them together on the internet for you to enjoy. I put out an EP called Paradise. It's 8 tracks, 7 of which are original, 8, and the 8th, the last one on the EP, is an acoustic cover of Barrel and Trigger, which is one of the 7 tracks.
In his second vlog from July 30th, 2011, he also talks about how he has another upcoming EP, and at this point, his Bandcamp was completely free, prioritizing his music being discovered and shared.
Hey, Riley, if you're still here, just a curiosity question. Would you just like, this is just me saying this as a viewer, would you consider like doing the like timestamps for stuff like this? Just like, I'm kind of a fiend with the timestamps. I even put them in like 8-minute videos sometimes, not always, but like I'm just like curious, you know, how this is kind of blocked out since you're kind of starting from the beginning here.
Over profit.
I showed last night at Bandcamp, crazy little venue, like a garage, like storage area. Can't go wrong with that. I finally figured out a name for the EP, but I'm not going to share it until I release it. So if you go over to my Facebook page and like me, that's pretty much where I'm going to release it. I'm just going to post it up there and maybe throw a couple songs on YouTube so you guys can stream it. But the downloads are going to be on my Bandcamp. So, and it's always going to be free for a while anyway. I mean, this stuff costs a lot of money, but I just want to share it with you guys.
And in his third vlog from August 20th, 2011, he not only shows us his cat, but he explains that he has booked shows from New York to DC, and that he also dropped his second EP, and is even filming a music video for one of the tracks on his second EP.
Yo, Social Repose vlog number 3. So much to talk about. I booked a ton of shows. It goes all the way from New York to DC, which is where I am right now. Shows.
Oh my gosh.
I just released my second EP yesterday, and it's up for free download on my Bandcamp. So I'm really psyched to go back to New York and up to Baltimore and play shows around here and tell friends about me, or just spread the word about Social Repose. So I can play everywhere. So I'm writing
That was like some fresh, uncut millennial quirk chungus.
music video.
I haven't had a dosage that hard in a second.
It's gonna be off one of the songs on the EP. I'm not exactly sure which one yet, though. If you guys can let me know which one you'd like to see made into a music video, it might happen.
And each vlog after this is an update on the progression of his career. In his fourth vlog, he explains how he just started classes, he's getting ready to move, he's making merch. In his fifth vlog, he states he is looking for a new drummer and bassist for Social Repose. By the sixth vlog, he's finished his merch designs and they are ready for pre-order. His seventh vlog, an acoustic cover. His eighth vlog, showing himself on set for his music video. The ninth vlog, he moved, music video teaser. Even shows himself playing his first show with his new bassist. And we're still in 2011 at this point. I will admit, I don't have many positive things to say about Richie. Normally in these videos,
really?
I try to highlight some of the positive aspects to these individuals that I cover. And usually I'm pretty good at that. I do take pride in that a little bit, okay? Unfortunately with Richie, there aren't many positive aspects to him, or at least if there are, they haven't really been showcased online, which makes trying to be nuanced a little bit difficult. But one positive aspect to him that I really do very much admire, aside from his talent and all of his self-taught skills, is his hustle, his grind, his drive, his ambition, his work ethic. This man knows about hustle. Like seriously, like seriously. Just within 2011 alone, the man wrote 2 EPs, he filmed multiple music videos, played many live shows, started merch designs, found a new basis on top of relocating and being in college. And by February 1st, 2012, in his 11th vlog, he had already begun working on his first full-length album titled The Modern Age. And at the end of February 2011, he was set to play Battle of the Bands at Warped Tour. And we don't find this out yet, but he is also working an actual job throughout all of this as well. This dude is not lazy. Not at all. He's not lazy, okay? I am not a musician.
When do we get to the fucked
but
up
I know
shit?
many of them, and I'm pretty active in my local music
I'm ready
scene
for
as
the
well.
fucked
and
up
I know
shit.
that being a musician, especially an aspiring musician who's not quite well known yet, requires a ton of work, consistency, and a lot of struggle until you get that big break or at least get enough exposure. But in those beginning stages, not only are you like hustling to book shows and promote your work and writing on top of it, but you're also funding a lot of this stuff on your own, paying to play with these bands due to not being established yet as an artist. It is not for the weak. It is not for the weak. And you really have to want it, and you really have to work for it. And while I have my issues with Richie, which will become very apparent very shortly, I have to admire his drive. He really wanted it, and he worked his ass off for it, and he got it, and I can at least respect that. And sure, he definitely had certain things early on that boosted his career, playing alongside certain bands and the growth of his channel, but Richie didn't really have it like handed to him. He didn't have one super viral moment that just set him off the map. You can see in real time the gradual steady growth in his numbers, not just on YouTube, but across all of his other social media platforms as well, where he is doing tons of cross-promoting. Again, respect. So yeah, I admire his hustle. I do. From his 12th vlog on April 8th, 2012, we can see that he changed his hair to look exactly like Shane Dawson in 2007. And he also explains how he released his first album.
Run that by me one more time.
His hair to look exactly like
I'm just soaking that all up.
Shane Dawson in 2007. And he also explains how he released his first album, The Modern Age, and is playing a show at a huge venue.
So I want to start off this vlog by talking about the show I just got at the Fillmore Silver Spring. For those of you that don't know what the Fillmore is, it's like a 3,000 person venue. Now, keep in mind the biggest venue I've ever played seats about 300 people, so this is like 10 times that, and I somehow managed to snag a spot.
Again, you can see the growth, going from playing his biggest show to 300 people to now 3,000 in just a year, and Warped Tour Battle of the Bands on top of it. He is steadily growing in the music industry, but not making too many waves on YouTube yet, though. But he begins to make small waves on YouTube once he becomes associated with none other than Brian Stars, making his first online mention of him in his 14th vlog from July 15th, 2012, saying he is going to try and have Brian Stars premiere his new music video.
You guys updated. I've been working really hard on the music video. I'm gonna go to the editing suite this week and next week and hopefully have it out soon. I'm gonna try and cater to Brian Stars to have him premiere my music video. So if you watch any of Brian Stars' interviews or watches any of his premiere music videos, please don't hesitate to email him and tell him how much you love the new Social Repose music video on his website or YouTube channel, because I love that guy, I love all the stuff he does, and I'd be honored to have a music video on his blog.
Riley, who is Brian Stars, and why does this matter? Brian Stars was a pretty huge name at this point in the alternative music scene, but not because he was a musician or a producer. No, Brian was a famous interviewer at this time who made his name from interviewing tons of popular and up-and-coming bands in the alternative and emo scene, including big-name bands such as Slipknot, Trivium, Avenged Sevenfold, Papa Roach, 303, Shinedown, Seether, Skillet, The Used, Killswitch Engage, A Skylit Drive, Disturbed, Panic at the Disco, Mayday Parade, Creed, Never Shout Never, Flyleaf, Atreyu, Breathe Carolina, 3 Days Grace, OTEP, Breaking Benjamin, Sick Puppies, Silverstein, Korn, All Time Low, Rob Zombie, Secondhand Serenade, Parkway Drive, Suicide Silence, PTV, Of Mice and Men, David fucking Archuleta, Bullet for My Valentine.
Sorry. This is a crazy personal life section. Odell revealed his homosexuality on his YouTube channel in 2017. After considerable controversy later that same year, due to being accused of covering up for convicted sex offender Austin Jones, Odell stepped back from his social media ventures, specifically his YouTube channels. Interesting.
Escape the Fate, Motionless in White, William Control, Black Veil Brides, August Burns Red, A Day to Remember, Asking Alexandria, Broken Side, Miss May I See Stars, Born of Osiris, etc. Yeah, Brian was like a big fucking deal at this point. His interviews getting anywhere from tens of hundreds of thousands to even sometimes millions of views. And like Richie said, aside from his interviews, which he was definitely most well known for, Brian would also premiere music videos for bands and artists on his channel as well. So it's easy to understand why Richie would seek the opportunity to collaborate with Brian. Having someone like Brian Stars premiere your music video on his channel, or even featuring you in an interview on his channel, that will get you major exposure. And FYI, this was long before this era of time where we think of like major exposure as like multiple millions of views. Videos on YouTube at this time weren't really getting that kind of exposure, honestly due to not that many people being on the platform. YouTube was still relatively new at this time. YouTube started in 2005, and Brian didn't start uploading until about 2008. So to be getting hundreds of thousands of views on your videos on average in 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, that was considered major exposure. The only people more popular than this were people like Shane Dawson, like Onision, those kinds of creators that were doing like skits and stuff. And he would get this opportunity, not to premiere his music video, but he would actually meet Brian in person in 2012 at a show he was playing, where he was opening for none other than the, at the time, extremely popular.
This is how my videos are normally, by the way, not like my recent. Are you just talking about how it's like a kind of like Turkey Tom-esque, like just overview of like someone's whole trajectory?
And highly controversial crunkcore band Blood on the Dance Floor. Yeah. Richie has an extended history with both Brian Stars and Davi Vanity from Blood on the Dance Floor. In fact, Richie would go on to not only play more shows with and befriend Davi Vanity directly, but he would even go on a full US tour with Blood on the Dance Floor in 2014, titled The Reckoning Tour.
BWC Tom? Yeah, that one.
Slightly more niche, so hearing that name might not be setting off alarm bells for some of you. But I think most of you are probably raising your eyebrows a little bit at that Davi Vanity connection, and rightfully so, because I did not know this at all. I had no idea that he not only knew Brian well and met him very early on, but I had no clue that he had any connection or association with Davi Vanity and Blood on the Dance Floor whatsoever. We are going to talk a lot more about Brian Stars and Davi Vanity and the controversy surrounding them a little later on in this video. But for now, it's important to remember that Richie would meet and become acquainted with both Brian Stars and Davi Vanity in mid-2012, so just mentally note that. So Richie loses Battle of the Bands in 2012. He claims he apparently injured his foot while trying to save a girl in the crowd.
So I lost that Battle of the Bands thing. Remember, I was talking about it about a month ago. I put up a video. I jumped off stage and dubstep drop and saved the girl and my foot. I looked completely like an idiot on stage, but I had a ton of fun.
But of course, this opportunity gets him even more exposure. In a vlog from October 4th, 2012, Richie tells us that he will be opening for Broken Side at the Croc Rock Cafe in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
I know this new blog is supposed to be all about me and what I'm doing, but my band Repose is going to be playing up in Croc Rock in Allentown on the main stage with, guess who? I'm going to start with Nathan Ryan, the Bunny and the Bear. And of course, who could forget Broken Side?
This feels like another universe, this era.
So I'm actually really excited to like hang out with Broken Side. Like playing with them is one level, but like I actually get to hang out backstage and like meet them and talk with them. So I feel like I can get more on their level. Like all their fans say, get crunk. Is that still a thing? Getting crunk? Crunkcore? Okay, still around. All right.
And in his next vlog, titled Social Repose Vlog number 15 from Halloween 2012, we find out that Broken Side ended up dropping from the show due to a severe hurricane.
Slyboy, your stance on Richie abusing copyright against Ray? Yeah, I said that in my video. That's like scumbag behavior. Because even if it were even if his like cease and desist were like totally legit, and there's like a legit defamation case hanging in the balance, right? Which would be like best case version of reality for Richie. The DMCA thing is like completely divorced from that. Like that. So it kind of makes his whole thing look like he's being dishonest, obviously, because that's not what, like, you're not supposed to fucking use that to take down videos that you don't like.
And he also mentions seeing Jeffree Star play and what that was like for him.
I don't. Well, during Jeffree Star's set, there was a lot of trans folk, like, because obviously, like, you know, Jeffree Star goes that way, and like a lot of his fan base is a lot of like trans people. So that was fun. but there was this one guy who looked exactly like Jeffree Star. Like, I saw him, and like even I for a second I looked at him and was like, like, that's Jeffree Star. Like,
Standing right here.
Yeah, no, he was like 3 people away. He was like over there, and I looked at him and I was just like, he wears more makeup than that. Like, all these girls were around him taking pictures with him, and I was like, something's wrong. And then we realized he had like no tattoos, and I was like, oh, okay, well, Jeffree Star has a ton of tattoos, and that wasn't him. But his set was pretty good.
Yeah, he's wearing a bodysuit though, as you can see.
Hey, Jess, welcome to the inner circle.
Yeah, shoulder pads. I was like, I want
Appreciate
him. He had backup dancers. I want backup dancers. They were really hot, dude.
Guys, comment if you want to be a social repose backup dancer.
Yeah,
Jeffree Star used to make music.
Yes,
Oh,
Brian Star-
brother, do I have a show for you? Wait, I wonder if I can find that. I don't think I would get. That would really suck if Jeffree Star claimed the stream. I don't think it's like distributed anywhere though, so I don't think he would. I don't think there's like any like auto claims for that type of thing. Let me see if I can track
Jeffree
that down.
Star and Avi Vanity. Like, talk about a nightmare blunt rotation. So a couple months go by, and the only content we get from Richie is a few music-related videos. And then on April 15, 2013, we get an update
Guys,
from
comment
Richie.
if you want to be a
We
social
find
repose
out that he has been working on another new album set to release later on in the year. We also find out that he is releasing a music video that summer in 2013. And he does. And that music video ends up being the first video on Richie's channel to surpass 100,000 views. So he's growing. And he's doing so very quickly. Not just in the music industry, but now he's also starting to make a name for himself online. And then we get another vlog from October 2013 titled Social Repose October 2013 Vlog. In this vlog,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The horrors I'm seeing on my side monitor right now. Wait. Okay, so I probably shouldn't play this because it looks like I would get struck for this. But there was one I remember from back in the day. It was like a song about straight boys or something. Like he wanted to. I think it was like a song about molesting straight boys or something like that. But this I don't know what this like bulimia cover art's pretty unnerving. Not in love with that, to be honest with you. Not in love with it.
we find out that he not only released his new album titled Reckless Closure, but he got to be the opener again for none other than Blood on the Dance Floor. He even talks about how cool of a guy Davi is and how excited he is to play with them again in the future.
To do vocals because I've been kind of sick lately, and it's hard to sing when you sound bad.
It was a MySpace track? Yeah, you're probably right. What was the name of that track? Does anybody know?
One of Relapse Symphony and all those bands. I got to actually hang out with Dobby of Blood on the Dance Floor. Contrary to popular belief, he was actually really cool, and we got talking, and it was all good, and I should be hopefully opening for them next time they come around, or maybe touring with them.
Which, like I said, he will play with them in the future. He will go on a full tour. So more time goes by. We get a couple
Can we take a moment to admire the room? It's rad. I think she gets a lot of that. Every time I've streamed reacting to Riley's content, it's been a lot of nonstop glazing of the room.
videos.
A lot of
from Richie.
room glaze.
And then on March 12,
going on.
2014, Richie uploads a video titled Why You Shouldn't Hate on Falling in Reverse, Blood on the Dance Floor, Bring Me the Horizon, etc. The title is pretty self-explanatory. Richie tells us exactly why we shouldn't hate on Falling in Reverse, Blood on the Dance Floor, and Bring Me the Horizon.
So disclaimer, I actually don't really listen to Blood on the Dance Floor that much. I do listen
We
to
Are Charlie
Bring Me the
Kirk,
Horizon and all
true.
those kind of post
Thank you for
2018
that.
bands, but as far as Blood on the Dance Floor, I respect them to a certain degree, and that's why I'm making this video on why you shouldn't hate Blood on the Dance Floor. Making fun of Blood on the Dance Floor is kind of like making fun of Justin Bieber. It's like beating a dead horse, a really colorful, androgynous dead horse. All they get is hate on the internet. And I understand the early stuff is kind of crazy and really ridiculous, sexually driven, but at the same time, it's freedom of self-expression. That's what art is. Plus, every time they get a comment from someone putting something they don't
Hold
like,
on, let me slow this down to normal.
on their YouTube or Twitter or whatever, just a hater, they're actually making them more famous. You know, it's the Jeffree Star of actually helping them. If you hate on them, you're helping them. Blood on the Dance Floor is kind of like a hate-driven fame machine. They just feed off of hate and they turn it into fame and success because you can't deny it. They are pretty successful, especially in the scene. And some background on the band. I still want to really like the band for the band and not just for the music. And Blood on the Dance Floor has kind of really gotten that down. You know, a lot of people don't even know what they sound like. They just hate on them. And it's all about image. They have their image perfected. Their look is art in itself. Nobody else looks like them. People try and look like them, but it's ridiculous. And that's what gets them so much attention. They are one of the few bands kind of keeping this whole scene alive.
First of all, I just want to state that putting Bring Me the Horizon in the same sentence as these two is absolutely detestable behavior. Bring Me the Horizon's discography is better than both of these bands' discography combined. Like, collectively, all of their discography, Bring Me the Horizon is still better. And I was not the only one who felt this way. Thank you so much to Venti Milk for calling this out in real time 9 years ago. But second of all, the blood on the dance floor glazing is interesting. It's interesting, for sure. And it's very well timed with his next vlog installment in July 2013.
I am also your biggest fan.
He not only reveals he has a new EP coming out, but he also announces
I appreciate that sentiment,
he will be touring with Blood on the Dance Floor in 2014, called the Reckoning Tour, and even shows himself performing with Davi Vanity and says how he got to be really good friends with both him and Jay.
So about the Blood on the Dance Floor tour / shows, I mean, I'm afraid to call it a tour because I only played 2 dates and I hung out for a couple more dates, just because Davi asked me to come along and it was all good. And I actually got to be pretty good friends with Davi and Jay. They're really nice guys. I mean, I made videos about this before and how they're kind of misunderstood, but overall it was a really good experience and hopefully I get to play some shows with them again.
FYI, this is from a show he played with Blood on the Dance Floor in June of 2013, also at the Croc Rock Cafe, and this was when Blood on the Dance Floor was on their Witchcraft tour. As you can see, this friendship and professional relationship goes deep. Concerningly deep.
Okay, chat, you know the rules. Time me. Okay, listen, not my finest work, but let me just defend myself. 14 seconds for hand washing, always 14 seconds. That's always built in. All right, you don't need to keep asking. That's the rules of the sport. A couple things. One, pretty heavy stream. Okay. Solid water pressure always on my end, but yeah, you know, pretty full bladder. And then also, I'm not gonna stand up because that angle will look pretty suspect for YouTube content. But I don't have a zipper. This is some Japanese denim, and it doesn't have a zipper. It has 4 buttons. So obviously that's a debuff. That takes way longer. With my okay. Sorry, I wear shoes in the house, okay? I'm an adult man.
In my personal opinion.
Thanks for the $2 though.
And as you can also see, this is the very first appearance of one of the largest points of contention surrounding Social Repose, the headdress. The headdress.
Sly boy, can you make fun of me and pretend you're stepping on me? Ha ha. Added a little ha ha for some levity. Not for free.
Yes. What you are looking at is, in fact, a white man wearing a Native American headdress. And this headdress becomes a permanent part of his costume. Do not fret. We will be talking more about the headdress and the controversy there, but we'll talk about that in a little while since he gets so much consistent backlash that he ends up making a whole video response. Spoiler alert, it sucks. But I want to talk more about Davi and Richie's connection to him and content warning for themes of abuse, child sexual abuse, everything in that realm.
Wait.
So, as I
do you get into the headdress response video? I would love to see him defending that. That sounds really
doing
funny.
This research, as I'm discovering these things, specifically this Blood on the Dance Floor connection, right? The question at the forefront of my mind and at the forefront of this conversation is, did he know? Did he know? Did he know about Davi and the allegations of him being a child predator when he played these shows and when he went on that full tour?
Why I choose to wear the headdress and why it's okay. Hold on, this is a Facebook link. I'm gonna try and not leak any of my personal information. Nah, it's fine.
Hello, my name is Richie from Social Repose, and I've avoided making this video for a very long time. About a year ago, I decided to put on this headdress and kind of make it part of my brand. And obviously,
All right, I'll get into that later. We got a lot to go through.
I desperately wanted
That's
to
really
believe
funny
that
though.
he
I
did.
really like that title. Why I choose to wear the headdress and why it's okay. I have decided.
I really wanted to believe that
It's
he
been-
went
it's
onto
been
that
proven.
tour without any knowledge of the allegations surrounding Davi that at that point had been circulating for years. So I started digging, deep digging. And every new discovery only further and further separated me from the idea that Richie didn't know. We're gonna jump a little bit ahead here. So the first piece of
It might
evidence I found
copyright
was
me.
from
I mean, I'm like invested enough in this at this point that like I wouldn't necessarily hate like a reason to jump into the fight. You know what I'm saying? I need like a healthy level of beef is really, really good for the channel. Honestly, even just like you and I's friction. You know, I never want to like lean into drama. That's why I wanted to like try and be diplomatic, but like just a little bit of healthy back and forth, right? And then if it's like if it's like a fellow creator you respect, you know, you kind of resolve it, but you have a nice little path there. A little drama path that people can get dragged into.
video he posted pretty shortly
Not a
after
terrible
the end
thing.
of the Reckoning tour on December 29th, 2014, titled What I Learned on My First National Tour with Blood on the Dance Floor. And in this video, he says this.
On tour for the past month and a half, all of December and late November, with Blood on the Dance Floor. And let me tell you, it was a doozy. So just to kind of say this up front, I'm not making this video to talk about Blood on the Dance Floor or on anyone in their crew or team, because actually they weren't really the problem on this tour. They were nothing but courteous. Davi and Jay are my friends, and they treated me as such. It was actually really refreshing. Because I know they have a stigma around them. Other bands like New Year's Day and a few others have come out and said how terrible they were to them on tour, but that wasn't the case for me. They were very nice.
Riley, what is the significance of this statement, and who is New Year's Day? New Year's Day is another big name band within the alternative music scene, and they were also becoming very popular. And New Year's Day was one of the first bands to tour with Blood on the Dance Floor during their rise to fame in the late 2000s. And in 2012,
What's up, Meow
Ash
Meow?
Costello, who is the lead singer of New Year's Day, came out publicly with allegations that Davi not only physically assaulted her and groped her many times unwantedly despite being asked not to, but that she also witnessed him interacting very inappropriately with his underage fans, and even bringing some of them onto his tour bus. Ash Costello was one of the very, very, very first people to make public allegations of Davi Vanity being a child predator. So what Richie is confirming in this statement in 2014 was that he was aware that New Year's Day had made public allegations against both Davi and Blood on the Dance Floor. Devil's advocate. Maybe he knew that New Year's Day had issues with Davi, but maybe he was not aware of the full extent of the allegations, and maybe he just thought that there were some creative differences, right? Yeah, I tried to tell myself that one too. So then I did some more digging, where I found these statements that Richie later made following the Chris Hansen investigation into Davi in 2020.
With Blood on the Dance Floor. They were big. They were already selling hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of merch. They were selling a ton of tickets. But this was in 2011, 2012. When I toured with them, it was 2014. They weren't totally done. They weren't totally irrelevant. Some people came. But when I signed on to that tour, because I played a couple local shows with Blood on the Dance Floor where they asked me, a local band, to sell 100 tickets, and I bought 84 of them because I was very interested in starting my illustrious touring career. I hate myself. So Davi saw that I could sell a bunch of tickets locally, and he obviously got green in his eyes, and he's like, oh, well, you should tour with us. That's gonna be $4,000, please, for the tour. Which at the time, I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, it's a national tour. I need the exposure. I was just coming up on social media. I didn't really have a lot of music out, but I was ready to do it. And Blood on the Dance Floor at the time already did not have a great reputation.
I fucking hate the music industry, dude. I fucking hate that shit. Been around too much of that fucking bullshit, dude.
Everyone, at least in the scene, already knew that Davi Vanity was a creep. Like, it was known information. None of it obviously confirmed, because he would go to jail if it was confirmed, because, you know, statutory thing. But none of it was confirmed, and this big artist offered me a tour, obviously, for a big chunk of change.
So he was aware that Ash Costello had come out and made public allegations in 2012. He was also aware that rumors were flying by the time 2014 rolled around, but since he had not been arrested, since it had not been confirmed, he ignored the allegations and chose to go on tour anyway, which he says he paid $4,000 to do, to play this tour.
I had pre-tour with Davi, and how he asked, okay, is $4,000 good? And then I would ask him, what exactly should I expect from this tour?
Riley, can you confirm that there were children at these shows? And can you confirm that Richie knew that there were children at these shows? Yeah, I looked into that one too.
And he told me that there was going to be between 300 and 500 kids a show, which is, like, for me, I mean, I'm happy if there's 20 kids in the audience. Imagine 500 people. That is an amazing deal.
So he knew that Ash Costello spoke out. He knew that there were rumors. He knew that there were children at these shows. This we know and can confirm by Richie's own statements. So now, that begs the most obvious question. Did Richie witness any inappropriate interactions while at these shows? Did he see anything inappropriate while on that full US tour for 6 weeks? Even if you can prove that he knew about the rumors, even if you can prove that there were children there, how do you...
Sorry for stopping it mid-sentence. Yeah, I do agree with what some people had been saying, that, like, the information is a little more cogent in this video than when it's, like, referenced in the other videos. So the Ash Costello thing, I've never heard about or looked into that. New Year's Day's Ash Costello sheds light on Davi Vanity allegations. What is... why are they showing us? Okay. I don't know what this article is. Let's see, 2018. Blood on the dance floor is Davi Vanity accused of sexually assaulting multiple women. Many while they were underage. Ty was in the 10th grade the first time she met Davi Vanity, one of the popular electro scenecore self-proclaimed death pop duo Blood on the Dance Floor. They started communicating first via Facebook and eventually by text in December 2011. She's already a massive fan. Anyway, yeah, the Davi Vanity stuff's already been established. I was trying to get to a little bit more of, like, the Ash Costello perspective.
know that Richie even witnessed anything. Richie to this day claims to have not seen anything himself.
But speaking of disgusting behavior, I can say definitively, like, personally, no, I never saw him, at least, and this was 2014, I never saw him directly, like, pull people onto his bus and, like, have with underage girls, anything like that. Obviously, if you see something like that, you go...
So this was, okay, so like, with Riley's other videos, I think the point, like, one point I had was that just kind of like the speculative nature of, like, but he probably saw something, right? Maybe there's more in here that wasn't in there. I mean, once we get to, like, this guy's own proven predations, it's kind of a moot point. Like, the social Repose going after minors himself is kind of like a much bigger deal than him potentially turning a blind eye to stuff. Because, you know, even if you're like, okay, but, like, those people saw it and they were on tour with them, I don't know, it's all kind of hearsay. It kind of gets lost in the noise. I get the picture you're trying to build, though. It makes, like, it would make sense given what he has also done.
The police, like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. That is a felony. That is jail time.
But I think this is incredibly unlikely for a few reasons. First of all, Richie actually did make statements early on that confirmed that he did witness some pretty questionable things during this tour and during Blood on the Dance Floor's actual live sets.
Onto, if you look at what all the Blood...
Did the mods ban someone who was simping on me too hard? Hey, easy there. Well, I didn't see what they said. Maybe they were, maybe I was being assaulted verbally. Riley says, I agree, I build up to that, but I think it's important because both of the instances of Richie being predatory allegedly took place during the Reckoning tour. Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I think I think a part of it was, hold on, I'm trying to make sure I speak clearly here. Like, one thing for me was like when you're like you spend like 30 minutes or however long, good chunk of time being like, oh, like he probably saw something, and it's like, yeah, there's like red flags present, obviously there, but it's also like at the end of the day, for me, standard of proof is like, you give people the benefit of the doubt till you can actually prove something, and when you get like so caught up in that, and then like after like 45 minutes of that, you're like, oh, and by the way, he was texting a minor. It's like, wait, what the fuck? Hold on, why didn't we just start with that? That would inform the situation a little bit more. That's just me. That's the way I digested the video, and it felt like, I know there were people in my crew who were like, what the fuck even is this video? Like, she hasn't gotten to anything super noteworthy yet. But you have your own audience who like clearly fucks with you for the way that you communicate. So like I said, I was talking to chat earlier, like Riley and I structure videos very, very differently. I feel like there's like a much more of a conversational tone to what you do, whereas I'm really, really, really heavily just like chopping, like editing myself down.
And that's where songs are about. They are incredibly raunchy. They are all about. They're all incredibly explicit. At the shows, he would yell things at the crowd. Like,
I think it's meant to be a deep dive into him as a creator, not specifically his allegations. Yeah, 100%. I was more talking about the other videos she did after this one got taken down.
Take your shirts off, like throw me your bras. And mind you, most of the crowd was underage, like most of them. So morally, as an artist, if you are performing a show and it is a sea of 13-year-old scene kids, do not tell them to take their shirts off. Do not make sexual comments. And he would, and I would see the parents in the back just like letting it all happen. So
he's confirming here that he witnessed Davi encouraging his underage fans to remove their tops. He also made this statement while talking about being on the Reckoning tour.
I also learned that girls will lie about their age. People will pretty much promise you anything in order to get into the green room or backstage. Definitely, many times on that tour, I would be like, where are your parents? Like, some of these kids would just be trying to get on Davi's bus or trying to hook up with band members.
So not only does he claim to have witnessed Davi encouraging his child fans to remove their clothes at these shows, but he even witnessed multiple underage girls allegedly attempting to come backstage or onto the tour bus. Is that the same as witnessing fans actually going backstage or onto the tour bus? No, it's not. But isn't that just really convenient? Let's talk a bit more about Davi Vanity's crimes and why exactly I think it is unlikely and even like downright impossible that Richie did not witness anything on this tour. I am eventually looking to do my own coverage of Davi Vanity and his crimes, so I'm not going to go into like excruciating detail. But Davi Vanity has had allegations on record starting as early from 2006 all the way until 2020. Additionally, not only were allegations and rumors circulating that early on, but we also have legal documents from 2009 of Davi being arrested for first-degree felony sexual assault, the victim being an underage.
Even if he was like, I was a small artist and I took a chance and I regretted it, it would be so much better. I feel like that's what he was kind of trying to say earlier in that video. He was like, he was like, oh, there were like things being said, but nothing was confirmed. And like, what was I supposed to do? It was a great opportunity. Which it's like, yeah. Probably not the greatest thing morally. Does happen all the fucking time in entertainment, though.
Fan. And aside from
Way
Ash
too
Costello,
often.
Jeffree Star, who also toured quite a bit with Blood on the Dance Floor, did make his own allegations of witnessing inappropriate interactions between underage fans and Davi, which he did later retract in the wake of Jeffree Star's own essay allegations surfacing from this exact time period. Aside from those things, we know now that there are dozens, potentially even hundreds, of girls that were by Davi between 2006 and 2020 and could still be happening present day for all we know. By the end of the Chris Hansen investigation, 41 women had come out and made public allegations of everything from kissing and groping and sexting to forcible rape, the majority of the allegations being rape. Not only does Richie acknowledge that there are likely hundreds of girls out there that we don't know about, but he even states that he personally knows about 5 or 6 of the victims himself.
This is on a very different level. This potentially could involve hundreds of underage girls. Like, dozens have come forward, but we don't know how many there are. And I personally know 5 or 6 of them. So if they're that close to me and that close to everyone else in the scene, you don't know how many there are. So coming forward does absolutely help the case.
And additionally, I did even more investigating. I have yet to find an allegation that claims to have specifically taken place during the Reckoning tour. That I have to be fully transparent about. Of all the research I have done, I have not found an allegation from this specific tour. Correction. I did find an allegation. Okay, well, sort of. Just hear me out, okay? One of the women I decided to reach out to is named Nydia, and she has about 3 or 4 videos of her own of her experiences with Davi Vanity. And Davi had been grooming her for years by the time that this image was taken of her and Davi at, you guessed it, the Reckoning tour. But full disclosure, Nydia was technically 18 at the time that this image was taken. She was no longer a minor when this image was taken on the Reckoning tour. But I do think it's still worth taking into consideration in the context of this conversation. The fact that Davi was still interacting with his victims at these shows and on this tour makes it that much more unlikely that Richie didn't know or didn't see anything that was happening with Davi and his abuse. The point is, we know he was still victimizing girls in 2014 and continued to victimize girls long after that. So what's more likely? Is it more likely that Richie and the Reckoning tour, which was a month and a half long, just happened to be one of the only time periods from this peak blood on the dance floor era that Davi didn't abuse girls? Despite there being allegations on record for years both directly before and after this specific tour, and despite Richie claiming to have witnessed Davi encouraging underage fans to undress and trying to get backstage, and the fact that it was mostly children at these shows? Or is it more likely that Richie, who was fully aware of the allegations pre-Reckoning tour, who knew that Ash Costello had spoken out?
I mean, it's plausible deniability, obviously, but it's kind of like, was he a really bad guy or was he a really, really bad guy? It's just kind of like, because just off his own thing of just being like, oh, you know, he was talking sexually to like a crowd full of kids and like telling 13-year-olds to throw bras or whatever it was. Like the way he kind of just said that and he was like, yeah, he was doing that stuff. And I was just like, ooh, whoa, awkward. Which is just like, I think you as a man have a moral responsibility to be like, all right, let me make a situation out of this. Let me confront this. I'm sure his thing would be like, I was just a small artist. I had no power, you know, but...
Who also claimed to have witnessed Davi encourage fans to undress, trying to get backstage, who also plainly stated that it was mostly children, specifically girls, at these shows when he himself attended them, is probably lying about what he saw to save his own ass. What's more likely? I encourage you all to do your own research and form your own opinions. In fact, better yet, I encourage you all to check my research. Do your own research and check my research. And if you can find something I missed or somehow prove something I am saying here to be false, comment or DM me on Instagram to let me know. That's how confident I am. I challenge you, the viewer, to check my research and prove me wrong. But this is my channel where I give my opinions. So here are my opinions. In my opinion, Richie, based on what I have seen, I think you are lying. I think you absolutely witnessed much more questionable things on that tour than you stated. I think you knew, I don't know why I'm saying I think, you knew full well already that there were allegations against Davi, which at that point had been circulating for years, literally since 2006. By the time you went on tour, it was 2014. You knew that there were allegations, and honestly, in my opinion, I also think you knew they were true. I think you knew that there was some truth behind it. With how enmeshed you were in these spaces, playing all of these shows, not just with Blood on the Dance Floor, but multiple big name bands within the scene, I think you knew that he had abused girls, and I think you knew also that he would probably be abusing girls on that tour. And you, Richie, decided that the exposure and the fame and the money was more of a priority than the safety of your own fan base. Your fan base, who you publicly encouraged to attend that tour to meet their idol, Social Repose, who, by the way, shocker, also has a fan base of predominantly children, more specifically, underage girls. Yeah. Do you kind of see why I said that, like, I really don't have many positive things to say about Richie? Like, do you kind of...
Yeah, I think we're just kind of at the same point we kind of were with that. I don't know if it's as like, it's kind of hard to make a case that it's that cut and dry of like, you knew he was going to be raping girls on this tour. I definitely have like, that might be a little black and white, like, because, you know, I live in Nashville. I've like been around a lot of music, and there's people where it's like, oh, I heard this person say this and this person say that. And it's like, okay, there's enough red flags there that I'm not comfortable associating with like the guy from that band or whatever. And then, but that's such a like, I hate to say subjective. It's such a thing where it's like, yeah, if the guy hasn't been fucking hit with the law yet, there's a lot of plausible deniability. It's just like we just don't have that information, even though it's like, yeah, I agree with you. It just like, it looks really sus. It's hard to just be like, this was absolutely going on because we weren't there. But I don't disagree with any of the red flags being laid out here.
To understand that now, we
think it
normally
makes
don't
a
get
lot
to
of
these like
sense.
really darker aspects and controversies to these individuals until into like more of the thick of the video. I usually like to start off helping the viewer get to know the creator, lay out their life story, and, you know, just share overall positive aspects to these usually highly controversial figures. But with Richie, it's like actually impossible. It pains me to say that, but it's actually impossible. The negative aspects to Richie start so early on in the timeline that it just forces me to like immediately jump into the controversy, which like, you know, which kind of sucks because I really don't like to make these videos to just like shit on people. But my fucking God, I can't for the life of me find positive things to say about Richie, but I can find endless amounts of negative things to say about this man, to the point that like the deeper I dig, just the more messed up stuff I uncover. Like genuinely, it literally never ends. Like it truly never ends with this man. Oh my God, but it gets worse. It gets worse. Yes, it gets worse. It gets so much worse, actually. Because another big reason why I think Richie is lying about what he may or may not have witnessed on the Reckoning tour is because Richie has his own allegations of predatory behavior with his fans, including one interaction that we have evidence of that took place in, get this, 2014 and 2015.
So men should only speak out once they see an adult already touching minors? What are you trying to say? What do you even mean by that? What? So here's like an example. Okay? Cuz there's your personal life and then there's online. Okay? So like there's a guy in Nashville that I was in close proximity to in the scene, right? There's a lot of red flags and mumblings, but there's no one who was like, he committed this crime against me or he did this to me, right? I would go personally and I would like talk to some people who were like starting to get close to that guy and just be like, hey, just so you know, there are these rumblings. I don't want you to get put in a situation where you weren't warned. I don't have all the details, but I just want you to be safe, right? There's that, and then there's like there's like making a public statement, right? I don't tend to like make a public statement based off of rumblings, right? There's two different standards for these things, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I was getting at. I have no idea what you were trying to insinuate with that question, though.
15. Now, there's a lot of contention towards this specific allegation. We can confirm that this is real. Richie himself confirmed it in his response to the situation. So we can confirm that this interaction is real. There are no images or text messages exchanged in this interaction. Okay? I need to preface this immediately with that. But what we do see in this interaction is Richie verifying if the fan that he is interacting with is 15 or 16, with the hope that she will be 16 and not 15, so that he can legally interact with her beyond just platonically. And he was very disappointed to find out that she is in fact 15 and not 16, which is still a child, by the way. But that didn't stop him from continuing to talk to her and call her baby as if she were his girlfriend, his 16-year-old fan.
So with all the stuff between Social Repose and Ronnie Radke going on, I thought I should do my story time on how Richie Geese, aka Social Repose, tried to talk to me when I was 16, 15. So I was 15, about to be 16. I turned 16 in November 19th. I'm 23 now, by the way. But he said, please don't say you're 16. Are you 15? Let me down easy. Then I said, close to 16. My birthday is on November 19th. He said, I feel less bad. Who says that? What 25-year-old says that? I'm 23 now. And I cannot imagine trying to talk to a 15 or 16-year-old. Disgusting. Then he proceeds to tell me, you're so cute though. Stop being 16. What the, what the actual I'm sorry, I look terrible right now, but all in all, he's a predator. I don't know. That's just the facts. And I will screen record the messages and his profile if you guys need further proof. But I've seen other people were commenting on Ronnie's videos saying that he's a predator, blah, 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 talks underage girls. So there's the proof. This was in 2014/15. Like I said, I'm 23 now. It's 2022. That's absolutely disgusting. And people need to watch out for people like him.
Later, but by now I had produced questions that Carla needed to answer for me, and so I asked away. First off, let me clarify what Carla had said about Richie, right? Richie had never asked for anything provocative or photos. I looked at the entire conversation log. At the time of this happening, Richie was about 23. He responded and admitted as much, saying the following. Him claiming to have stopped is wrong, though. After learning her age, he continued to speak to her for a long time. The point of her age even came up later in the conversation after this happening. He says how he and Carla can be
Starting to give me a stroke now. The double speed up. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you followed any of followed my video or followed Riley's stuff intently, this is like kind of the big one, and then obviously the new stuff, the new evidence that Riley put out the other day.
Together, and then later on says the following.
This is
You're so
GG's,
cute, though.
really.
Stop being 16, okay? Social Repose allegedly in these conversations claims to be in PR later, assumedly Puerto Rico, but agreed at least in the moment to have allegedly given his phone number over. Even later on, continually calls her babe. He continues to offer to hang out, and the context of this seems to be related to a performance he was going to have. At least that's what it appears as. But young Carla says, maybe we can meet up. It would be nice seeing you again. And then, of which he responds, of course, I'd love to hang. Carla sends a text back complimenting him. Social Repose follows it up with a can't wait to see ya, it's been too long. The conversation lasted from the end of November 2014 to all the way in 2015, when it appears that he allegedly cut off contact with Carla. Other women did contact Carla in the comments section with similar stories, but due to a lack of physical evidence, I cannot rightfully report on that sort of thing. But there are others giving similar stories about Richie around the same time, with women reporting high school age.
FYI, he would have been 24 years old when this interaction took place. Not only that, not that that shouldn't be enough, but not only that, I found multiple very concerning statements which he has made on his channel from various videos. Not only about how he would in fact date a fan, yes, he went on record and said he would in fact date a fan, but also making very inappropriate statements about underage YouTubers.
Getting Diesel hate in the comments.
To be completely honest,
Has Diesel kept yapping about all this? Seems like he was making a decent amount of content.
I'll put my penis in anything that moves. But on a serious note, I actually would date a fan. The problem I've encountered is that there's always a weird power dynamic. Because there's always this weird relationship between fan and artist, and the fan always puts the artist on this pedestal. And that's not good, because healthy functioning relationships are all about equal power dynamics and mutual respect. Let's say my fan/girlfriend-to-be loves my music and loves my personality and my whole persona that I'm doing. She's kind of putting me on a pedestal, and I want to be treated equally. So, if that makes sense.
Joe banging on it, ready to kill me. Frank That Frank, Alex Durame, and D Fizzy. So I guess I would marry D Fizzy, because he seems like a pretty cool dude. I actually just met him for the first time 2 days ago. Would have sex with Alex Durame. I mean, I think she's underage, right? She's like 16 or 17. I'm not sure about that, but if she's underage, then I guess I'll give her an IOU. Oh, this is so awkward. I mean, she's cute, and she's the only girl on the list. Okay, I'm moving.
Alex Dorme was born in 1998 on March 25th, a day before me, which would have made her 17 when he made this statement. So when later, in 2015, I saw this video of them shopping together, even though nothing inappropriate happened, knowing what he had said previously about her, it made my stomach turn, literally. And by the way, I wasn't even going to say this because I think it goes without saying, but I guess you can never be too careful, so I'll just say it. No, I do not care that this was a marry kill challenge. I do not care about that. That means nothing, okay? That means nothing. And no, I don't care if this was a joke. A joke. There is absolutely no excuse whatsoever. As a 24-year-old who's going to be 25, okay? There is no excuse whatsoever for a 24-year-old grown adult man to come online to his large audience and say that he would Alex Dorame and then immediately follow it with, I'm pretty sure she's underage, and then not verify before posting, before uploading the video, if she actually was underage, which I myself was able to verify in 2 seconds of research. Like, you had to make multiple 24-year-old grown adult steps to make that possible, to make that happen. There were many points where you could have said, actually, maybe this is something I shouldn't say. Like, there were multiple points where you could have done that. You could have just not said it, right? But you did say it. So then when you went to edit, you could have researched and then realized she was underage and then edited it out, or just edited it out in general because it sounds horrible. Like, literally, how could you say I would this person and then be like, oh, I think they're underage? Like, don't you think that sounds horrible? The way you didn't even think, like, maybe I should just delete this in general. But no, you still edited it, you decided to keep it in, and then you uploaded it. There were multiple instances in this process where you could have said, this is a bad idea. You didn't. There is absolutely no excuse whatsoever. And FYI also, and this is a little bit of a hint, and also just a little bit of a guess and speculation on my part, but I'm gonna say this anyway. No, Richie, I also don't care if Brian Stars himself told you to say this. I don't care if he told you to say this. FYI. You are a grown adult. You know better. This is also a bit ahead in the timeline, and it's actually one of the things I won't be talking about until part 2. And
I mean, there was a way I was about to word that wouldn't have been good. When I say that was common behavior, that's not a justification, but it was like, I feel like that was like the whole Shane Dawson thing. Like, maybe all of that was like birthed by Shane Dawson, that amount of like recklessness. I remember the thing where he was like sexualizing Will Smith's daughter when she was underage and stuff like that. That was just, I feel like that was kind of like considered part of the like edgy YouTube thing. So he probably kind of felt emboldened in that way.
And that is his cheating. Oh, sorry, my bad. His dating history. One of his previous partners named Isla, who is also in the Onision universe, made allegations following their breakup that she had witnessed him inappropriately messaging underage fans.
Oh my god. Anyway, so the last time that we broke up, I was going to his house to hang out with him, and I got there before he did. And his Facebook page was open. And on his Facebook page, it was his messages just wide open on the screen. And it was just conversation after conversation after conversation after conversation. When I say there was probably, like, I saw at least 20. I saw at least 20 conversations, and that's just what I could see from a quick scroll. At least 20 conversations with just these random girls on Facebook, of him messaging his fans to see if they had turned 18 yet, of him, like, seeing if these, like, really, really young girls, like, barely 18 could drive, if they were in his area, like, a bunch of really creepy shit. Like, it seemed so predatory to me at the time that it was weird, because whenever me and Richie started, dating, well, whenever me and Richie met and started talking and everything and, starting that whole romantic thing, I was freshly 18, and I guess I didn't realize at the time that that's, like, a thing.
She doesn't provide proof in this live stream, but with his statements and the evidence we do have, I absolutely believe her. Dating your fans as a public figure, a musician, an influencer, whatever, has a stigma for a reason, for a good reason, in fact. Adult or not, I think it is very predatory to date your fans. Even as adults, I think it is very predatory to date your fans. There is literally no way in that kind of situation with someone in Richie's position to not have an inherent power imbalance. Like, it's just not possible. What he's talking about here, about needing the relationship to be equal, in order to date a fan is not possible. That's the point. That's the point of them being a fan. There's like an inherent power imbalance there, Richie. Like that is literally the point. That is the point. It is inherently unequal. It is inherently imbalanced. You are in a position of power and influence. Okay? And especially when these fans, reminder, are teens, there is literally no way for a dynamic like that to exist and not be imbalanced. These fans, these girls, they idolize you, Richie. But you know that. And look, you could, like, okay, just to play a little bit of devil's advocate and like a little bit of nuance, right? Like, I can see very specific dynamics where this kind of fan sort of thing could work. For example, right? Like if you have two well-established musicians, and one of them is a fan of the other's music, but they both are established musicians that are like famous, right? They both have influence and power. I could maybe see how a dynamic like that wouldn't be as imbalanced, and how that, you know, how that could be a little bit, probably a lot more equal, right? If they both have like the same status, but yeah, one of them is a fan of the other person's music, they're both musicians. Like I could see something like that working. And maybe you could apply that to like YouTube and content creation in general, right? Like you have two famous YouTubers, one of them watches the other, they're both famous YouTubers. I could see how that could be more balanced. Like if we're playing devil's advocate and trying to find a little bit of nuance there, that is very clearly not what this situation is. That is not what this situation is, okay? That's not what we're talking about. And even that's kind of like, I don't even know, like saying that if that's even right. I could be very wrong about that point of like, you know, like maybe if it's like two famous people and one of them's a fan, like I could be totally wrong about that. I don't know. I'm just trying to like not be so black and white about it, but at the same time, it's very hard for me to understand how.
I mean, that entire dynamic is very, very, very subjective to the situation, obviously. I don't think we need to get too caught up on that. Like if someone's like, if I match with somebody on Hinge and like I go on a date and they're like, oh, you're Slyboy, I've actually seen your channel before, right? They're not a fan. So obviously there's a spectrum to power imbalances.
Like that could work and not be imbalanced, like Richie's position. That is my opinion on that. Okay, whatever. And another thing I found and want to mention is one of Richie's oldest videos where he's performing a show, and at the end of the show, he films himself meeting fans and taking pictures with them. Whatever, right? And I noticed this interaction between him and a fan who appears to be a girl, appears to be a woman. Now, FYI, this was also at a show at Croc Rock, and I noticed in this image that Richie is wearing a white bracelet, and so is the girl that is kissing him. As a frequent concert goer myself, and considering Richie would have been over 21 years old at the time of this interaction, and the fact that they're both wearing white bracelets, it's likely that these were drinking bracelets, and it's also likely that this fan was not only over 18, but probably over 21 as well. So I'm not making an allegation that he had this interaction with an underage fan, okay? Let me be clear on that. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But seeing this fan interaction reminded me a lot of some of the interactions, both Dobby Vanity and also...
Not gonna lie, Richie's head is kind of shaped like SpongeBob's head. I'm not sure if I'm seeing that. Hold on. I'll pull up the... I'll enhance on that on the side monitor.
With their child fans at their shows and their meet and greets.
Between 2009 and 2012, Shane would do a series of live tours. And these events were marketed as fun opportunities to see the king of YouTube comedy live and in the flesh. However, his live shows came with a very uncomfortable asterisk, because after the show, he would do fan meets. And Shane wasn't just handing out hugs.
Oh, hey, by the way, Riley, you got some good SEO going on Social Repose right now. Right up there. Yeah, I don't... I'm not gonna lie. I'm not sure if you were cooking with this one, my friend. I don't know what the... Like, I'm trying to see what you're talking about, and I'm having a hard time here. Maybe you can expound on your beliefs a little bit. I don't know what the common denominators there are supposed to be.
and autographs. Oh no.
That went well. Now we're going to go to a meet and greet, so I'm sure I'm going to motorboat a lot of underage. I'm sure Lauren's going to get a lot of peen.
Oh god, again.
I also got a stuffed animal with sperm from a 12-year-old.
Because according to multiple first-hand accounts and footage that we were able to gather, these meet and greets almost always involved some amount of inappropriate interactions, both physically and verbally. Like, the amount of evidence is staggering.
It was much more normalized at this time to interact with fans this way. Even children. Letting them kiss you, even kissing them sometimes, or like
His
signing an
body
autograph
has to
on
be in
girls' chests
frame.
and
They're trying to get me to search social repose body. That's uncomfortable. I mean, when he's wearing the porcupine getup, it's kind of hard to see his actual figure. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like I wanna I wanna see where you're coming from, but I'm having a hard time with that one.
things like that. FYI, I personally think interacting with even adult fans in this way is weird. I do. I think it's very weird to let your fans kiss you, even your adult fans, and like feed into that parasociality. Like, even if those fans are of age, even in that scenario, I think it's a pretty big red flag to not have those boundaries in place with your audience. Again, she may not have been a minor based on certain clues, right? But considering most of Richie's fan base is minors, considering that, I do wonder if these kinds of interactions were commonplace with Richie, especially since it was commonplace with so many other predators in the music and internet scene at this time period. And just to put more icing on the cake, right? Because you can never be too thorough or present too much evidence in these kinds of conversations, okay? The amount of known predators in Richie's orbit is actually crazy. Like, on top of everything else I presented, right? Just the amount of predators he is acquainted with, friends with, has worked with, whatever, is truly jarring. And that includes, but is likely not limited to, Dobby Vanity, Brian Stars, Jeffree Star, Austin Jones, Onision and his partner Lucas, William Control, and later on in the timeline, Shane.
Chat, should I make hot chocolate? I say yeah, I think you deserve it. I think you've probably worked hard this week. It's a Saturday. Okay.
Dawson. That is 8 known
Saturday
predators
night
in his orbit that we know of.
No,
I don't want to be
grow
a person
up.
that's like, you are who you surround yourself with, because that can be a little tricky. But at the same
That
time,
is a good counterpoint.
He's been surrounded by predators, gotten very close to some of them, and also has his own.
Chat, should I drink another beer? Actually, I wanted to make a cocktail that's been on my mind, but I feel like I need to lock in on this. A lot of people told me I had to watch this video, so I need to give it my full attention.
Allegations and history of inappropriate interactions with underage fans. One of which we have proof of, and that is on top of his statements.
Someone says, ew, beer. Normally, I would concur. I'm not a huge beer guy, but I am a Guinness guy.
Case on top of him saying he would date fans. Could this just be like a ton of coincidences? I mean, yeah, it could be. It could just be a coincidence that he's like heavily associated to and close to Dobby Vanity, that he knew about the rumors and allegations, that he witnessed Dobby encouraging fans to undress, attempting to get backstage, that he's gone on record stating he would date fans, that he knows most of his fans are teens and children, made inappropriate statements about Alex Dorme, who was 17 years old at the time, also has multiple allegations on his own and direct evidence to support them, who also just happens to have 8 known predators in his orbit. I mean, yeah, that list of things could all just be coincidences. It could be, and nothing more, but I don't think it is. I don't think it is. My intuition is telling me something very f***ing nefarious is happening or has happened beneath the surface that we don't know about. And look, you could make the argument, like when it comes specifically to the point of multiple predators.
Seeing this video, like, does really make sense why there was some, I don't know if like ships in the night is the correct term, but like some, I guess, like I said before, friction. I still like stand by what like kind of like my point of view on the follow-up videos, which there were people that were like, well, you shouldn't have made a video at all if you didn't if you weren't able to track down the one that got removed, which I disagree with that for a variety of reasons. But I think my thing, even regardless of that, was, okay, this story is gaining momentum because of Richie's actions. It's Streisanding, and a whole lot of new eyes are happening on it. Which like require the context of the gravity of the situation to be like up front, right? So in other words, it seems like Riley's typical style is to just kind of like do a what's the word I'm looking for? Just an overview of somebody's life, right? Just kind of take you along the way. And then my style is to like build a case, I guess, in a way. Not, I mean, she's obviously building a case in this instance, but like I'm starting with the smoking gun, and then I'm like laying out the other information around it. Whereas this is presented as like a story, right? And so I feel like after this video got taken down, the follow-up videos was like the smoking gun wasn't handed on a platter. Like the smoking gun, like I said before, I felt like was buried sometimes. And I think that's why, for me, that's why I had some frustrations. And this is not me trying to like critique or anything at this point at all. But I think that's why like the FPS Diesel crew probably also had some frustrations as well. So this video being back up definitely helps.
Being in his orbit, that he's an up-and-coming musician, and that's just what the scene consisted of back then, and he was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I could maybe entertain that argument if we didn't have everything else. If we didn't have everything else, I could maybe entertain the argument, okay, yeah, he might have like played a lot of shows and, been friends with musicians that were predators and like YouTube predators, but like he's in these scenes, he's up-and-coming, wrong place, wrong time. I could maybe entertain that if we did not have everything else. But seriously, like I don't think it's just a coincidence that he's done and said some very questionable stuff, and also just happens to have 8 predators in his orbit. Like, forgive me if I don't think that that's just a coincidence.
What's up, Toby?
I want to believe I'm wrong. I really do. But I simply don't know what to make of all of this evidence. And look, I don't throw around predator accusations lightly, okay? I am no Louis McClung, okay? If you don't know about that situation, look it up. There's like a ton of videos on it. But it was one of the very first things I covered on my channel. And one of the first things that actually started to get me exposure. It was one of my first, like, not technically viral videos, but like videos that got like over 100,000 views. It was Ginger on Ginger crime. Okay, no, I'm joking. But basically, that was a situation where a creator, Louis, had made multiple predator allegations against all different creators and did so with either zero evidence or fake manufactured evidence. That was one of the very first videos on my channel that did well. I know the gravity of predator allegations, and I do not take them lightly on this channel. I do not carelessly throw around the word predator, but I genuinely don't know what to make of all this evidence.
I think that's cool. I think it's cool Ray's in chat listening to the criticism. That's not, like I said, that's not even really criticism at this point. Because like Riley has an audience, and that audience is like, feels like even pretty like tight knit in a way almost. I know they ride or die for you, that's for sure. But that seems to be like just like the format expectation. I think there are advantages and cons to that, which I guess that's what I was trying to do with my video to a degree, is just be like, do the opposite, not like lay out a story and just be like, here's the smoking guns, it's this, this, and this, right? There's like other stuff that like is there's a lot of red flags around the smoking guns, but here are the smoking guns, here's what we know.
And the thing that really gets me too is how careful he is, how carefully he treads this line. I did watch eventually some
just
of
different,
FPS Diesel's coverage
just like
of Social
completely
Repose
different
from
content
a few years
styles.
ago. Now I'll admit I do not fully agree with FPS Diesel's takes / some of the conclusions he draws from the evidence he presented. I want to go on record and say that, okay? But I remembered how he compared Richie to Onision. In full disclosure, even though I knew Richie was like kind of going into this, I already knew that, I thought that label of Onision was a little bit of a stretch. I did. Until I did my own research. And oh my God, he is so right. He is so right. Richie is taking pages directly out of Onision's playbook. I am a certified Onision historian, okay? And I earned that badge in Girl Scouts. I have a full Onision deep dive series in the works that I will be continuing after I settle Greg's copyright claim. Yes, he is still doing that in the big year of 2026. One of the things Onision did very early on before he would travel to meet like underage fans to be intimate with and get into relationships with.
Onision's still doing the copyright shit?
To verify the age of consent in the states that he would travel to. And he would even go as far as sometimes calling lawyers in that state, actually calling lawyers to be 100% certain of whether the age of consent was 16, 17, 18.
Sorry, I just got sexually assaulted by my side monitor when I looked up Onision. Oh my gosh. The actual hell. $96 million views on the Banana song. And he has it as his featured video. Incredible. Holy shit. Fuck.
So that he could proceed accordingly with these girls. Richie, while he may not be traveling.
And he has a where did that shit go just now? Okay. All right. That tab just disappeared. There's a rogue Onision tab somewhere on my computer now that will probably randomly start playing at the worst possible time. Onision. Oh, I typed onion. Onision. Yeah, he has a he has a video premiering the 20. Wait, what the? He has a video premiering a year from now. He has a video premiering a year from now titled Dear Women from Onision. All right, let's get out of there. That's bad energy.
To states that we know of.
Bleach my eyes from that shit.
He's always treading this very careful line of pursuing just barely legal fans and making sure to verify their age before interacting with them. And this is just one of the many ways I actually think he is so much like Onision. And I'll point those other things out along the way. With what we know about the extent of Davi Vandy's crimes and how often he was his child fans, one of the thoughts that I can't stop
didn't set a reminder. Oh shit,
honestly,
you're right.
kept me awake these past couple of weeks is that what is the likelihood that at least one of those fans, one of those kids that was there to see Richie specifically and support him on that tour was hurt by Davi? If not more than just one, with what we know, with what we now know. Do you ever think about that, Richie? Do you ever think about that? Do you ever think about that? Because that was literally my first thought. That was my first thought, and oh my God, I can't stop thinking about it. Do you think about that, Richie? I'm betting you don't. You never spoke out about Davi until 2020, when you no longer could ignore it because Chris Hansen got involved. You never.
Wait, we should react to it on Ladies' Night? Which one are you talking about? Oh, the Dear Women thing? Well, that doesn't premiere till like, I think it was like October 2027. So that may be quite a few Ladies' Nights into the future.
And when you finally did speak out, there was number one, not a shred of remorse, guilt, shame, no apologies to your fans, not to mention you were laughing and smiling the entire time in this video, even while discussing Davi's horrific crimes. Do you ever think about if even just one of those fans that you encouraged to come on that tour was hurt by Davi? You knew that he was using those shows as a hunting ground, and you, Richie, made your own child fans pray because the exposure and the fame meant more to you than the safety of your fans who gave you that opportunity to begin with. I hope it was worth it, Richie. I do. I hope the possibility that even just one of your child fans was raped by Davi Vandy at that tour makes those 1 million, 2 million, 5 million followers, subscribers worth it. I hope it does. But yeah. So that is Social Repose's history of very questionable fan interactions, statements, and very close proximity to various known predators in both the music and internet scene. These are all of the reasons that I personally believe, in my gut, in my intuition, that Richie is a predator. But again, this is my opinion.
Okay, hold on. You guys think you can run the whole show now. apparently. Okay. I hate when I do this. I like zero in on a chat and then I look away and then I lose it. Oh, Zombie says, this is ladies' night, dude. She's in chat, man. You really are sexist. Sexist Sly. That's a tongue twister. Say that 5 times fast. Now, that's just because a lady is around doesn't make this ladies' night, guys. Okay? You realize ladies can just exist and it be a normal night. Don't know what rock you guys are living under. All right? Ladies' night falls under a specific set of parameters. Thank you very much.
Not evidence and research, but still my opinion. Please don't take my word for it. Seriously. Please do your own research and formulate your own opinions. Don't just take my word, do your research, and please contact me on Instagram.
Says the man.
If you
Says the man. Okay, I am a man, but I'm also the inventor of ladies' night. So that's a wash. I have some credibility there.
find anything that contradicts what I have presented here. If you show me something that proves me wrong, I will gladly come on here and correct myself. And additionally, I also want to state that if I have anyone watching me who did have any kind of like negative or inappropriate interaction with Richie at any point in time, but especially during this specific time period.
Mansplaining ladies' night. I can't mansplain ladies' night because I invented ladies' night. That's like saying the 1975. That's like saying Matt Healy is mansplaining the latest 1975 record. I don't know why my head went to that analogy, but okay.
Don't want anything you tell me to go public, even if you had something happen but you don't have evidence of it, please feel free to contact me on Instagram. Any and all information is helpful, and I've already spoken to a few people personally who have given me valuable information. Any and everything will be appreciated. It doesn't have to be anything predatory.
Says man, is he stupid? Is there a lore reason? Okay. See, you guys need to just I don't know if Riley does live streams, so maybe there's not as much of like a chat thing, but you guys need to just go and like read her comments or something. All right? Riley's community backs her up. Anytime I do anything, you guys tear me down, okay? Life is really hard out there as a man. I don't mean to sound like a woke asshole, but life's pretty tough out there for me as a man.
It could just be an interaction where he was just like rude to you or whatever, anything, literally anything.
Ashamed of this community.
Contact me on Instagram. And you have my word that our conversations will remain fully private if that's what you want. Or I could even display your statements and keep your identity anonymous if you would prefer that. Or I am very willing to work with anyone who wants to go fully public. And I am especially interested in anyone who had any interactions or possibly witnessed any interactions specifically at any of the shows Richie played with Blood on the Dance Floor, as well as the Reckoning Tour. That information would be especially helpful if it exists. Even if not to put in a video or bring to the surface. Just to know and have peace of mind. Because I can't stop thinking about that tour specifically and what we don't know. So, moving on from that. At this point in time, both pre and post Reckoning Tour, Richie has shifted his content from his own music and occasional vlogs to now mostly doing covers of songs. The music he is covering is mostly like very popular emo bops, including Remembering Sunday by All Time Low, Welcome to the Black Parade by MCR, Can You Feel My Heart by Bring Me the Horizon, etc. I really wish I could play some of these clips for you guys, but I know Richie for sure would probably pull an Onision and copyright claim me since he's so much like Onision apparently. But he starts to get more exposure through these covers. He starts consistently getting a higher view count, mostly in the tens of thousands, but he does manage to surpass 100,000 views on certain covers, such as his Nicki Minaj one and his cover of Drown by Bring Me the Horizon. One of my favorite songs ever. So he goes on the Reckoning Tour, and we do have a few vlogs from this, as well as a live performance starring both Richie and Davi Vanity performing Blood on the Dance Floor's song Sexting to tons of screaming children. Aside from the covers, he's also doing more video responses, such as clapping back at the haters, for instance.
Okay, one, technically anyone can sing. You just have to open your mouth and say something, and it has a tone, and that's considered singing. So that's a lie. And two, I think you should take off your judgmental dunce cap, you fascist.
And even a couple videos talking about things such as depression.
Wait, is that video still around? Responding to the haters? That looks amazing. let me look that up. That looks incredible. That and the what's that video from earlier? Did I close the tab? What was it? Why I wear my headdress and why it's okay or something? This guy's incredible with the response videos.
That's considered singing, so that's a lie. And two, I think you should take off your judgmental dunce cap, you fascist.
And even a couple videos talking about things such as depression and bullying, which, you know, makes sense knowing his audience is mostly teenagers. And also at this time is when we start to see more of Brian's stars on Repose's social media, including on his Facebook, where he not only shared these pictures
probably
of Brian,
wiped that
but
video
even
too.
this image of him with Austin Jones and the dude from Say We Can Fly, right? I think Say We Can Fly. I'll fact check that, whatever. This is when Richie really starts to integrate himself into Brian Starr's circle, at least from what we can see. And this was when Brian was beginning to also pivot his content from doing interviews to My Digital Escape. What is My Digital Escape, you ask? Well, My Digital Escape was the coolest thing ever back in the mid-2010s on the alternative emo side of YouTube. This was a group of multiple emo and alternative influencers and YouTubers who were doing really well at the time on the platform, nearly all of whom were teenagers, other than the host of MDE, Brian Stars, who is actually the same age as Richie, so he would have been 24 when MDE started, which started in October of 2014. The most notable and memorable MDE member is probably Johnny Gilbert, and he's still pretty relevant, I think mostly on TikTok, but I think he posts on YouTube as well. MDE blew up like crazy. Even though they were definitely more niche, don't get me wrong. Like I said, this was the alternative side of YouTube, so not super mainstream, but it still did very well. They were massively successful, considering they were not super mainstream, but mainstream within that alternative niche for sure. And they were so massively successful so quickly that not only was MDE featured at Warped Tour, they were asked to be part of Warped Tour, not just attending Warped Tour, part of Warped Tour with their own tent. Not only were they featured at Warped Tour in 2015, but in 2016, MDE went on to do their own tour, their own full MDE My Digital Escape tour. That's how big they got so quickly too. So you're probably wondering, Riley, what does MDE have to do with Richie? Was Richie a member of MDE? Since he was also becoming a popular alternative YouTuber and musician and also knew Brian since 2012? Surely.
Non-binaries night. I'll consider it.
He was brought on as a member of the MDE crew, right? That's a great question. The answer is no. Richie was not an official member of MDE. Shocking. You'd think with that early Brian Stars connection that Richie would have been one of the very first people considered for MDE, especially because, he was already, pretty integrated in the alternative music scene and now the internet scene as well. But he wasn't.
What
Instead,
about gender fluid night? This franchise is ballooning faster than I anticipated. Arizona, good to see you. Thanks for the $10 too. You remember when you didn't know what Ladies Night was and now you're the creator? Okay. All right. All right. Okay. You maybe I was being a little toxic there. Maybe even in a masculine way. But you know what? I would like to say I played an instrumental part in getting Ladies Night off the ground. All right. Okay. Mind you, Ladies Night was a smashing success. I'm pretty sure I got a non-expiring good forever B-word pass. I think I remember someone giving one of those out to me. I don't know if they had full authority to do that. I don't know what level you need to be to bestow one of those, but I would like to think Ladies Night would not exist without me.
Be featured on the channel or collaborate with the members, everything from duet song covers to challenges to Warped Tour survival guides. He was very involved in MDE despite never being an official member. So what did Richie think?
Sly, you have the B pass since you called Katie a B. I think that was a one-time usage situation. I don't know. I mean, you guys would know better than me. I don't know what exactly the terms of service are on those things.
This. Well, you tell me.
Hi. Hello. My name is Richie, and I'm one of the names
shit.
Social Repose for my music. I got inspired yesterday by the channel My Digital Escape, which is run by Brian Stars. Awesome.
That was bad. That was not good for me. Let's run that back one more time.
Member. So what did Richie think of this? Well, you tell me.
Hi. Hello. My name's Richie, and I go under the name Social Repose for my music. I got inspired yesterday.
Thank you,
by
RPM.
Escape, which is
Appreciate
by Brian
you.
Stars,
Thanks for
Austin
$2.
Jones, Jordan Sweet, and a bunch of other YouTubers. But they've got a really interesting idea going for a YouTube channel. Pretty much the idea for the channel is that they have 7 YouTubers for the channel, and they pick one topic per week, and each YouTuber does one video for that topic. And while I'm not really famous enough to be on that channel, that's not going to stop me from taking their idea. So the topic for this week on the My Digital Escape channel is things that I hate. And seeing as I'm kind of the MDE reject, I'm going to make a video about it anyway.
This was another moment in my research that like really made my jaw drop. It made my jaw drop because like Davi, I was also not aware of the early Brian Stars connection either. I knew Richie was featured sometimes on MDE, and I know the stuff that happened later on with MDE, which we'll get there. But I was under the impression that Richie met Brian like post MDE's creation. That was what I thought. So the fact that he actually knew him long before really puts some of the later events into a different context, and we'll get there. So Warped Tour Battle of the Bands is coming up, and in March 2015, Richie makes a video asking his fans to vote for him, and even says he is giving away 3 Skype dates for 3 of his fans who vote for him.
And tonight I'll be picking 3 random people who leave comments on that page for Skype dates. That's right, not 1, but 3 random people. So go over there and love me.
His teen fans. And he also gets featured on MDE's channel where he gives Warped Tour fashion advice.
Awesome festival. Well, I'm not going to sugarcoat this. There's a lot of really attractive people at Warped Tour. And while you'll never admit it to your friends or who you're going with, you really want some
Wait,
better way
hold
to get
on.
noticed and have your outfit
I blasted through that.
be totally on point. Underwear.
Oh, that was her. I thought he put that on the video.
Never admit it to your friends or whoever you're going with, you really want somebody to notice you. And what better way to get noticed than have your outfit be totally on point? Underwear as an outfit. Now, ladies, I know it's like 116 degrees outside, but there's a difference between wearing your bra and wearing a bathing suit top. Yes, I know the differences are subtle, but you'd be surprised how many girls I saw at Warped Tour in literally just a bra. It's very unflattering. If you have to, just wear a bikini top under your shirt. Preferably not of the string variety, because if I had a quarter for every time I saw a topless girl crowd surfing by accident, I would have $4.75.
Yeah, let's take fashion advice from the chronic cultural appropriator. That's a brilliant idea, Brian. Thank you. Then on April 21st, 2015,
Bra advice from Social Repose. I mean, all right, don't, maybe he knows what he's talking about. You should hear him out.
we find out that Richie is going on another tour, this time with multiple artists, including one Austin Jones, who is currently in prison. Austin Jones was also one of the original members of MDE, by the way, though he was removed and immediately replaced, following everything. Good call. At this point, it's May. Richie is on tour. He's still clapping back at the haters, who are becoming increasingly more vocal about the headdress. And in late May, he plays a show with none other. I can't catch a break, y'all. I can't catch a break. He plays a show with none other than William Control. William Control.
Why is he blurred
another
out?
well-known serial predator and a beater. Then on May 27th, Richie does another Q&A. In this Q&A, he mentions how one of the YouTubers he wants to be friends with is another popular emo YouTuber, Crank That Frank.
Also looking forward to being better friends with Frank, or Crank That Frank. I'm not sure if that's exactly what he goes by, but that's his Twitter, and on YouNow on YouTube. And I kind of just found out about him a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I did the selfie challenge, one of my fans submitted a picture of him, so I imitated it.
Who I've also talked about a couple times on this channel and have also mentioned making a deep dive on as well if you guys are interested. But, spoiler alert, they would eventually become friends. And then they would break up. And that's also a whole thing, but that's actually going to be in part 2 because that's later in the timeline. But at this point in this video, it's also announced that Richie is starting a collaboration channel with other emo and alternative YouTubers, including Crank That Frank, called Press Play Dream.
And then he asked me to be part of his collab channel, which actually Lita is a part of. Oh, and by the way, I'm actually going to be in a brand new collab channel that's starting mid-June called Press Play Dream. It's kind of like MDE, but with different people. And you should definitely go subscribe to the page. Even though there's no videos, but there will be. I'll be posting there weekly or bi-weekly whenever we figure it out.
This is basically, to put it bluntly, kind of like the Walmart version of MDE. And I don't mean that like as an insult to any or most of these creators. I don't mean that as an insult to most of these creators. This channel was attempting to do what MDE was doing at the time and emulating their channel as much as possible, but they never saw nearly the amount of success that MDE did. But it was a good effort, and aside from the Frank connection, we also get introduced to another player in this universe through one of PPD's videos where Richie does a kissing tutorial. For his child fans, again, by the way. This girl is named Lexi. And she's actually featured in quite a bit of Richie's content. I saw her make several appearances in
Kind of sounds like there's a lot of goated content in the archive. Social Repose kissing tutorial?
Mic check. Okay. Hello.
All right, let's see the technique here, okay?
Fuck, I forgot my glove. Hello, I have my glove now, and my name is Richie from Social Repose, and this is
Grab
my
a
next
pillow or
episode
something if you don't have a partner.
From Press Play Dream. It's kind of hard to say, all right? PPD. I can't say PPD because I'd say PP. Anyway, and this is Lexi, my
gosh,
bottom
so
bitch.
millennial.
On this week's episode, we were assigned to do a tutorial or like teach you guys how to do something, and so I picked something that I feel like I'm really good at. I'm an expert, and that's kissing girls.
Not on Valentine's Day.
So
hey,
I'm gonna teach.
This might come in real handy tonight. Probably not, since you're here watching this stream, but you never know.
All of you how to kiss girls.
Hear him out.
And I have a girl right here, so it works out. You can't just launch right into it, all right? If you launch right into it, it's gonna be super awkward. It's gonna be bad for both parties. You have to make sure that your breath smells good and that you brushed your teeth.
You're great. You
Do
smell
I?
like
Okay, all right.
coffee.
Do I smell great?
You smell like coffee.
Now breathe on me.
My wife is in the other room playing D&D online. We already had our date. Tony, I want you to watch carefully. I want you to take all this into account. And once we've established the methodology here, I want you to go into the other room and kiss your wife. Okay? She's gonna be blown away. All right? There's gonna be new tech for your household, okay?
So then, like, you gotta get close to them, and you gotta look them right in the eyes. All right? You gotta like stare down into their soul. No, you can't. No, maybe pet their hair a little bit before. But like, if you have claws on, it doesn't work so good. It just gets caught, and like, you know, you just pet them for a little bit. She's having a great time right now. Maybe she'll start like touching your hair. Obviously not as you're petting it. Like she'll touch her hair, or maybe like she'll like touch your leg or something. Yeah. No, my leg, not my penis. This is ridiculous. She'll start touching you a little bit, and then I forgot what the other steps were. If I were some random dude who would like, yo, I want to get on that.
I kind of just went up to a guy and I was like, are you single? And they were like, no. And I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna kiss you anyway. And
Wow,
that's
you're a
how that
whore.
went.
Just kidding, you're not a whore. Ooh. Don't do that, you'll scare them away. If you just walk up and just go, you want to kind of ease into it, all right? And maybe give them a little face touch after you're done petting them, because I'm really good at this. You just want to lean in and just, you know. Okay, maybe a little more ferocious. Sometimes you just want to go like full tongue, you know, just. Oh, babe, what's up? You just want to massage the back of their throat, all right? You just want to just go straight in there, just penetrate their mouth. Take your time with it. Maybe just very slow, legal? You know, just like. Maybe with less hands. Another big thing you don't want to do is have your eyes open when you're kissing. Why are you laughing? That's how you kiss a girl, all right? So if you just follow all those points that I told you, this works both ways too, with girls and guys. You know, just like if you see a really pretty guy, just walk up and just start petting him, just you know, and I'll be like, wow, I really want to make out with you right now. That's all for this week on Press Play Dream. Make sure to subscribe to me on Instagram and Facebook, and well, I guess you can't subscribe. Anyway, follow me on all the.
Okay, Tony, so we clear? There you go. That's what you do. That's how you do it. I don't really have like, I'm the only human being in this house right now, and I don't really have like a mannequin or anything. But I feel like I picked up the technique pretty well. If I had like a prop, I'd do a demonstration, but you guys are plumb out of luck. Corey, welcome to the inner circle. It's interesting. So I don't want you to feel like this was false advertising, Corey. This actually isn't my normal thing. This was a little bit of a side, the whole kissing tutorial thing. Just so you know, if you need a refund, let me know. Okay. All right, back to the matter at hand.
Vlogs and selfies and music videos and collaboration videos like this, and she will become very important and very relevant in a couple years to come. That won't be until part 2, but just note, Lexi, important. So now at this point, it's June 2015. Richie is still making his usual covers, occasionally ripping off MDE, and doing his usual grind. But his content starts to change ever so slightly again. It's still music related, and it's still mostly covers. Only now he's not just doing normal covers, he's doing a cappella covers. Listen. When I was a teenager, okay, I thought these videos were cool as hell. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, I thought they were cool as hell. And I'm pretty sure this is actually the era that I remember.
I am proud to say I was always a massive hater of a cappella YouTube covers. Hated them.
Discovering Social Repose in when I was a teenager. Then Warped Tour 2015 happens. We do get a couple of vlogs from Richie. He went to a couple of the dates that were close to him. We see him meeting tons of his fans and even messing around a little bit with Johnny and Jordan and Brian, all of which had their own tent. As like I said, MDE was actually invited to be part of Warped Tour that year.
We're gonna go over here, and then we're gonna walk around here. Wow! How do you get your hair so beautiful and purple?
Then August hits. August starts off with a bang, with an upload from Richie on the very first day of the month titled, "Why Wearing a Headdress is Okay." Brace yourselves, y'all. This is actually wild.
Is this the same one as this is probably the same one as the thing he had on Facebook with a different title. The other title was better though. Why I wear a headdress and why it's okay, or something like that. It was snappier. It had like emotion to it.
So Richie at this point has newfound fame, which is also accompanied by newfound backlash, which almost entirely had to do with the headdress. And, you know, this was before some of the other things that Richie is now controversial for. And like I said earlier, he eventually receives so much backlash that he ends up having to respond. In this response, Richie tells us exactly why he himself decided that it was okay for him to wear a headdress. Even, get this, after being confronted twice at Warped Tour, one of those people being a Native American woman attempting
Richie is
to
Social
educate
Repose,
him.
Lizzie.
To give you a little information on the headdress that I'm wearing, it was made by a lady in Indonesia who owns her own little shop. She is amazing.
Indonesia. Oh no, fuck. Amateur hour. Damn it. I clicked on the wrong shit. Fuck, guys, where was I? It was starting to feel like a professional stream for a second there. Okay, I think we were about here.
American woman attempting to educate him.
To give you a little information on the headdress that I'm wearing, it was made by a lady in Indonesia who owns her own little shop. She is amazing. She hand makes them. She personally dyes all the feathers. I get them custom in dark colors, the black and purple, because that's kind of my thing. All the feathers are made from ducks. They're super long duck feathers that are dyed. And all the shapes and symbols on the headband are just simply triangles and things that don't really mean anything. They just look kind of cool, I guess. Now, in contrast, a traditional ceremonial headdress of some Native American cultures traditionally had very bright colors, a lot of whites. They were never dark. They were never black, because black symbolizes death, and it's bad, and traditional headdresses were never dark in color. They were also made of eagle feathers. And fun little fact, it's actually illegal to own eagle feathers in the United States unless you have a permit, which some tribes do. So the only thing that my headdress has in common with a traditional ceremonial Native American headdress is its shape. To wrap up this video, I wanted to explain the other encounter I had at the Maryland Warped Day. It was middle-aged, I think Native...
The only thing in common that it has is looking the same. That's the only thing that this garment has in common.
American, although I wasn't sure, woman. She approached me at Warped Tour while I was signing things and taking pictures, and she interrupted it and was just like, "Hey, are you Native American?" And I'm like, "Oh, here we go." And I'm like, "No, but it doesn't matter." And she's just like, "Well, actually it does, and I'm very offended by your headdress." I tried to give her a very summarized version of my argument on wearing the headdress, and she pretty much cut me off and said, "That doesn't matter. I'm offended, and you shouldn't be wearing it because I am a Native American." She was completely uninterested in what I had to say in my argument, even though she took time out of her day to come up to me to let me know how angry she was at my clothing choice. So pretty much what this interaction showed me is that just because somebody's offended doesn't mean they're right, and it doesn't mean you need to listen to them. And anything around the acoustic basement. But they kept telling me to go away, and later I realized it's because one of the merch guys was offended of my headdress. And he came out and said, "Are you Native American?" And I simply told him it wouldn't matter even if I was. And what I meant by that is that if I took off my headdress and plopped it on his head, regardless of if he's Native American descent or not, it would have still been offensive, it would have still been not okay, because neither of us are chiefs by his logic. So asking if I'm Native American is not really relevant to his argument, because clearly I am not a chief, and neither is he.
Yes, Richie, clearly...
What? That's like that's like hey, dressing as a sexy nun is a little offensive to Catholics. Well, if you dressed as a nun, you're not actually a nun, so checkmate, conservatives.
You are not a revered chief. In fact, you are not a revered anything. Okay. All right. That was a little unnecessarily mean. That was mean of me. But seriously, Richie, like, this was an abysmally bad response. But I'm sure you probably know that by now. In fact, it reminds me a lot of the kind of responses Onision would make when he would get backlash for having similarly bad takes.
Thanks for the $5, RPM. The biggest mystery is how he lasted in the scene long enough to even catch allegations. I don't know. I don't know what shit y'all were on with that scene stuff. I was not part of it.
Yet another similarity they have that I could not help but notice. And Richie will continue to reiterate these points in the future. He will double down, and in fact, the headdress is still currently part of his costume. Oh, and by the way, remember how he said that his headdress is different and it's not an official Native American headdress because it has black feathers instead of white? Yeah, well, he will later go on to switch to a white headdress. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say something that I might end up regretting, and I might end up cutting out of this video, okay? Like, honestly. And what I am about to say is going to sound mean. Because it is truthfully a tiny bit mean. Not that I'm intending it to be, but hear me out. Just hear me out with an open mind for a second, okay? One of the things Richie has said before in one of his hater clapback videos was that his headdress and the war paint helped him get more exposure both in the music scene and in the internet scene.
Mr. Tristan Wolf, I would inquire you to go back in time about 2 to 3 years, and social repose has been a thing for about 4 years now. And please tell past Richie not to start wearing makeup and not to put...
He has a series. This is part 4 of responding to hate comments. I always thought was that like a trend? I always thought that was like so cringe to make a video where like, here's this guy who doesn't like me. Actually, I'm super not bothered by this. And here's a video of me laughing, actually, because this is so, this is sliding off my back like water.
On a headdress, because it totally won't get my videos in front of hundreds of thousands of new people, including record labels and management companies.
And that is true. That is definitely true. You can see that shift happen in real time on all of his social media platforms as he transitions to the headdress. Yes, he does start getting more opportunities and things like that. That is true. And if I'm being 100% honest, I think that's actually the thing that's really carried him all this long, not his actual music. I do think Richie is talented. I definitely do.
I did a stream like that? Wait, what do you mean I did a stream like that? Well, okay, hold on. Oh, I did do a stream like that. Well, but that's different, though. That's different. The stream you're talking about is different. Well, also, okay, it's different for twofold. One, there's responding to another creator's content criticizing you. That's a different thing than, like, let me find all these, like, anon comments on my videos and make a compilation of me, shitting on, like, some random 12-year-old who made a comment.
Very decent vocalist.
And also, I thought you were talking about the pedophile hate mail video, but I guess I've had to stream a variety of responses to hate at this point, which is cool. I like the back and forth.
He plays multiple instruments, which, we're all self-taught according to him. And he does a great job on his music videos with, production and artistry in general. He is objectively a talented person with many skills, undoubtedly. Now, that said, all of that said, as someone who listens to quite a bit of alternative music and has for the last 15 years of my life and has been to countless live shows, more specifically, emo, metal, metalcore, and heavy metal, deathcore, black metal, things like that. Richie is good. He's not great. Like, when you compare him to even a lot of the bands he's played with and bands within his
No,
niche,
Matt
again,
Camp
like, he
has
is good.
settled
He
down
is
a little
good.
bit. I'm still trying
It's
to
not that he's bad. He is good.
still
But he
keeping
doesn't
tabs on that though.
quite compare or measure up to, you know, other bands and artists within his niche. And a lot of those bands, while they do often have a very extreme appearance and image, they have the talent to back it up, usually they do, to the point where they don't have to fully ride or depend on their actual presentation in the way that Richie very much does, and even has admitted himself. Richie is not known for his actual music. Richie is known for his covers. He is known as the man in the headdress who makes covers. And then he is known as a serial cheater. But the last thing that Richie is honestly known for is his actual music. I have to be real. Like, the last thing he's truly known for is his actual music and art. And there's a reason for that. Like, I'm sorry, but there is a reason for that, okay? His actual music is not enough to carry him in the industry, so he has to rely on drastic extreme appearances and controversy. Not just extreme appearances, but extreme appearances that are controversial just to stay relevant. And another thing that he will go on to say in future videos is that he feels as though he can only make good art when he is in a state of like depression or self-loathing. And as a result of this, he will kind of create problems within his life or not fix certain problems in order to exacerbate his depression so that he can make good art.
This story kind of mirrored my recent circumstances really well because I always felt that I write my best stuff and my most meaningful stuff when I'm sad or depressed. So I would kind of do things to make myself intentionally sad and depressed in order to create, you know, better art. And I'm sure it was really tough for the people that I was with at the time because it's really hard to date someone that's sad all the time but doesn't want to be happy. So the short story was about this couple.
I am an artist, not a musician. I tried that and I failed miserably. I tried. But I am an artist.
Me too.
I draw and occasionally I paint, which I have been doing since I was a very young child. I'm actually pretty lame in terms of being an artist in the sense that I don't have some like unique or original cool art style, right?
Is there a Discord? Are you talking about for this community? Hell no. We will never have a Discord. Thanks for asking though.
I'm honestly, I really am very simple. I'm a traditional artist. I like pencil portraits. That's it. I like pencil portraits. I don't know why. I like them so much. I have been drawing them since I was in middle school, and I just really like portraits. But the kind of portraits I like to do usually are of either people or characters displaying emotion, often negative emotions. Like Richie, I also have depression and anxiety, and I also have BPD and PTSD as well. I definitely am heavily inspired by my own emotions when I'm creating my portraits, especially when I'm drawing characters that are crying or angry or empty, numb, right? And it is true that a lot of the like better art or better portraits I have made, the art that has been most meaningful and resonated with the most people, has definitely been some of the art rooted in those feelings of depression and loneliness and grief. It is definitely true that sometimes art that comes from a deep place, especially things like depression and grief or even trauma, can be more impactful. That is true. And as a fellow artist, I do understand what he's saying here. But, well, number one, that doesn't make it inherently good art. Like, art that comes from those places, it's not inherently good for those reasons, so I don't really understand that mentality. But good in the context of art, like when I think of it, it is, like, good is subjective, don't get me wrong. But to me as an artist, good art is like simple art. Art that isn't overly complex, art that most people can enjoy and appreciate. That's what I think of when I think of good art. But number two, most artists don't have to create issues in their life in order to induce feelings of depression and despair so that they can then make good art. Like, are the portraits that I have
known
done
a lot
that
of
are
people doing
rooted
that.
in those deeper emotions maybe more impactful and like better by most people's standards? Sure, definitely, sure. But I feel like I can still make good art even without those things. And good art for me, like in the context of the art I do, good art is like a very simple portrait. I can still draw a decent basic portrait of someone or a character without having to rely on my depression and grief, right? I actually did a painting in high school of Gerard Way from the Ghost of You music video that ended up, it either won an award or like a contest or something, but that's just like one example, right? Like that was just a simple, like I can do like simple, like good art in the sense of like just a regular portrait, right? All of this to say, I think if you have to rely on cultural appropriation and make yourself chronically depressed so that you can make good art, then maybe you really aren't a good artist. I know that sounds mean, because it is a little bit, let's be real. And I'm sorry, but like, it's kind of difficult for me to not point out the obvious, especially as an artist. And I know full well that other people are going to make this point in the comments, so I might as well just make it too, because I'm also thinking it, I won't lie. And FYI, another reason why I don't necessarily feel all that bad for making this point is that aside from the cultural appropriation, the things he has to...
We got another guy coming in with the iDubbbz allegations. Again, this is the burden I have to bear.
In order to induce his depression and like make good art, almost always without fail involves hurting someone else in one way or another. Like cheating, for example. And ironically, I actually think, because I do think he has the potential to make like good, great art. I do. I actually think he does. I think if he took all the effort he puts into like the headdress and the costume and creating bad things in his life.
And trying to get with 17-year-olds? Yeah, maybe funnel that in a more positive direction.
And actually put that towards advancing his skills, he might be one of those great artists. He might be if he...
Fuck no.
Did that. But to me, it feels like he cares a lot more about numbers and exposure than his actual talent in art. And I feel like in his mind, he sees the numbers as like, oh, this means I'm making good art. Like he equates those two things in his mind. I think in his mind, he sees, oh, numbers, oh, good. When the reality is that's not quite true. And also the numbers are coming from his TikToks. Like, you know, like it's not his actual music, it's his covers, right? Right? I think if he really did value his art more, he wouldn't have to do things like this. That is my humble but brutally honest opinion as an artist myself. And listen, feel free to clock me in the comments, okay? Go for it, go for it. Tear me apart, that's fine, I love it. Anyways, we're in September of 2015. On September 5th, he uploads a video titled, I'd rather have guns for hands, yeah. Obviously a 21 Pilots reference. Ugh. This video is another Q&A video with his mostly child fans where he talks about how he counted how many times his butt was grabbed on tour.
Last time I went on tour, I counted my...
You're my favorite Nick is not green replacement. I don't think that's me. I don't think that's me. I wouldn't assume there's any common appeal between that man and I. We have very different attitudes. That's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable.
Blood was grabbed 67 times while on stage.
But he also announces his upcoming album, which he says is titled Yalta, which is a post-World War II reference.
Get what you pay for. I've never actually explained why Yalta is called Yalta, but my new album, which is coming out this fall, or release date is coming soon, is named after the Yalta Peace Conference in World War II. I'm sure I'll elaborate on that in the future.
Yes, we are getting into Melanie Martinez territory, guys, aka using people's tragedies and trauma as a metaphor for your mediocre music. Later in September, Richie posts a twerk-off video with Frank That Frank, which is the very first time he is featured on Richie's channel.
I'm pretty okay. This is my house.
Art's meant to be a little bit provocative.
Fan, or you get out right now. There's only one way to settle this.
Then, in October 2015, Yalta is released, and he kicks off the release video with a full track-by-track explanation. He starts by giving us more insight into why he chose the name Yalta, and explains a bit more about the reference.
I'm going to start with the album title, Yalta. Pretty much Yalta is referring to the Yalta Peace Conference right at the end of World War II, when the leader of Russia, Great Britain, and the United States met up and decided what they were doing with Germany and how to divide it up, and it's kind of like this new beginning after this huge devastating war, and what they were going to do and how they were going to rebuild. So I thought that was a really good metaphor to kind of employ into the record, because I made mostly EDM, and kind of just music I didn't really wholeheartedly believe in, and I wanted to make a shift into something meaningful, so I went into more kind of experimental indie, which is what Yalta is. The metaphor kind of makes sense for my changing styles as an artist.
I can't stand this, bro. I can't stand this. I can't. You and Melanie both, with your bull metaphors, your metaphors that are absolutely horrendous and nonsensical. No, Richie, no. I hate to break it to you. I hate to burst your bubble. I hate to burst your cultural appropriation bubble. The peace conference from WW2 after millions of people died is not a metaphor for your change in music style from EDM to indie. Like, bro, that is absurd. What are you talking about? What are...
Well, I mean, come on. It's that was his own mini version of Yalta, if you think about it. You know? It's an analogy. It's an analogy. All right? That's why he's a famous singer and you're not, okay? Because he understands the art of metaphor. All right? I think you're missing something here. So when he switched from seen pulp riffing trash to EDM slop or whatever the switch was. It was similar to like a lot of people suddenly and violently losing their lives emotionally. I think that's the context you're missing there.
You actually talking about? And this is exactly what I was saying earlier. Like, again, artists who make good art don't have to do stuff like this. They don't. Like, they just don't. I'm sorry, but they don't. So then he explains some more track meanings. I found the ones for Arctic Eyes and Island of Yours pretty interesting. And then he explains the meaning for his track, Bipolar Love.
Track 4 is called Bipolar Love. This track is kind of self-explanatory. I've always had this fascination with dysfunctional relationships. I find it really easy to write about because it's so interesting. It's like a couple could love each other and like practically die for each other, and then a minute later they could start arguing and want to kill each other. It's kind of a bipolar love. So the song kind of just highlights kind of a back and forth struggle on how to love someone and then hate them, and kind of just constantly falling in and out of love with this person that you love hate.
I am about to pop off. Just a warning for that, okay? You people, you, Richie, and Melanie Martinez, both of you, are so unoriginal.
We're about to get mad Riley again.
I am done. I am done being nice, polite, charitable, nuanced, whatever.
Yeah, we are.
I'm so done. I'm over it. I'm freaking over it.
She's
3
coming
Melanie
out.
Martinez videos later, and this video, I'm done. I'm done being nice to y'all. I'm over it. Like, I am so sick. I am so sick of untalented, mundane musicians who can't write an interesting song to save their lives, taking actual mental health conditions and using them as a metaphor for their toxic relationship dynamics. Oh my god. I'm not done. It's also ridiculous because if you actually research bipolar disorder, see, this is the funniest thing about all of this stuff, like Melanie Martinez and him, right? If you actually research these things, you would see that it's literally nothing like what you're describing. Not at all. In fact, what you are describing is a stigmatized image of bipolar disorder, which you are contributing to, by the way, Richard. It's the way you aren't even talking about bipolar disorder. You aren't even talking about bipolar disorder. In fact, what you're describing is actually a lot similar to BPD. Don't get any ideas. Okay, crash out over. If you've already watched my Melanie Martinez videos, like you already know why I'm crashing out. Like, you don't even have to, you're like, yeah, whatever. This is not new to me. But like, if not, get with it. No, I'm just joking. But something else he says in this video that really stuck out to me is this.
For me anyway, I've had a habit of dating a lot of girls with really bad anxiety issues and eating and stuff like that. And it's obviously people don't choose to have these disorders, but it happens and you just kind of have to cope with it. And what I've learned from dating these people is that you can't fix them. They have to want to fix
The
themselves.
most offensive thing to me is having like a YouTube video where you're just like, yeah, so here's what the art is about, instead of just letting the art be the art. I mean, that's how you know someone is not an artist, even if they're making art. Is like, yeah, let me explain what all of this means. Here you go. Here is the meaning. Here is the meaning summarized. Like, if it were art worth a rat's ass, you could just let it go out into the world.
And you just kind of have to cope with it. And what I've learned from dating these people is that you can't fix them. They have to want to fix themselves.
This to me is a very interesting statement. You have a habit of dating women with EDs and mental health issues. A habit. Like a pattern? A pattern? Is there a reason for that? Like, is there something that draws you to women who specifically struggle with these conditions? Is it because they're easier to control? Is it because they're easier to manipulate, Richie? Because they're more vulnerable? I wonder about a lot of things.
Oh, what's
then
up,
in late
Raincloud?
October, Richie uploads a video titled "One Guy, 13
Thank you for the 5 quid. Appreciate you. OMG actually caught a stream. It has been long. Good to see you in here.
Voices alternative rendition," which was Richie's alternative spin on an already existing trend where musicians would try and emulate multiple different musicians' voices, basically to just kind of like flex their talent and their vocal range. And this video is significant because it's the first video on his channel to hit over 1 million views. In fact, it got over 5 million views. So it's safe to say that by this point, Richie had definitely blown up. It was no longer the steady, gradual growth we saw in the beginning. At this point, he is now consistently getting hundreds of thousands to even millions of views per video. And then in November, he shaves his head for art, which he shows himself doing in his Island of Yours music video, which is actually one of the only few videos of his actual music to go viral. Then December hits. In early December, we are introduced to 2 new people in this universe, and that is Billy and Isla. And if you are familiar with the Onision lore, then you already probably recognize these two. This is actually when both the Social Repose and the Onision universe collide, because Richie will go on to begin dating Isla, and additionally, Greg and Lucas will go on to begin dating Billy. So December is actually very busy for Richie, because he actually ends up traveling to California in late December to not only collaborate with NDE, but also Lucas and Onision, who he stayed with
Actually just got back from my trip. I know there's like a whole piece missing from things because I got to stay with Onision and I had never met them before, so I didn't want to step on any toes. So I really didn't video blog that much when I was there.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna wait to talk more about Onision and like his involvement with Social Repose in part 2, because that's also when we're gonna talk about Richie's dating history and the many problems there. Even though it technically starts at this point in the timeline, I want to do the relationship stuff in one go, since I just think it'll be more organized that way. Okay, I have a vision, so we will revisit that. But yes, Onision and Lucas become pretty well acquainted with Richie at this time. Richie and Lucas even did a collab video building a satanic gingerbread house. This was painful to watch, mainly because of how awkward it is. These two don't have
the
like,
blasphemy,
a shred of
of
even
course.
like platonic creator chemistry. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know when two creators get together and they collab on like a podcast or something, and like
I'm
the
aware.
way they talk to each other, you can kind of just tell they have like natural like creator chemistry. Like they can have a conversation and like have like a nice, you know, flow and rhythm and things like that. They don't have that at all. Ironically enough, I think this video would have probably been far more entertaining if it was Richie and Onision instead of Lucas. Those two definitely have creator chemistry, to say the least. Now we're in
Sly, are you
2016.
brave enough? Oh,
This
amateur hour. Sly, are you brave enough to read Onision's book? I don't think it's a matter of bravery. I think it's a matter of... I don't know what's a matter of. But I think the answer is probably no.
year is going to be a big turning point for Richie. There are a couple of pretty big controversies that take place in this year, both of which involving none other than Brian Stars and MDE. Starting on January 5th, we get a Social Repose Brian Stars crossover episode. Well, actually, we get 2 of them. And they make a video for both Richie's channel and MDE's channel.
Thanks, man.
Have you ever woken other people up because I was having too loud?
You're relevant, Brian.
No, I have not.
As you can clearly see, at this point, Richie is pretty deeply integrated in this group, despite still not being a member. And he was especially close with Brian, Johnny, and Alex, according to him. In mid-January, he attempts to get Shane Dawson to notice him in a reaction video to one of Shane's videos. It seems he did eventually notice him, as the two would meet later on. It never ends, y'all. Then, on January 19th, 2016, we actually get 2 videos
It's like
back to back.
that.
In the first
Shane Dawson and Social Repose and Onision all being in contact is like, that's like kind of like a Chernobyl of millennial predator cringe. That's pretty cool. That's a historic event. Oh, Ringcloud, thank you for the 10 gift subs. Appreciate you. If you're a channel member, give him one of the, you know, you can figure out the custom emoji thingy. I don't need to explain it again.
one, he announced that he will be going on tour for his new album, Yalta.
Thank you,
He
Ringcloud.
also announces, I can't believe these words are about to come out of my mouth. He also announces that as part of the merch for this tour, he will be selling headdresses. Yes, I am not joking.
So rolling out a ton of brand new merch designs, along with a ton of custom
There you
items
guys
like
go. You got
herbos
it. You got
and
it.
actual headdresses. They're going to be kind of expensive, but I'm going to have a few of those for
You can't make this stuff up, bro. Like, in my wildest Benadryl tripped out dreams, I could not make this stuff up, bro.
You
And
don't
FYI
understand though. There was a custom made by an artisan in Indonesia, supporting the Indonesian economy. Independent creator. Indonesian woman making Native American headdresses. Well, Indonesian first people collab, you know?
I did see some fans sporting these headdresses. Like, even for 2016, even in 2016, you know, the election, anti-SJW movement, even then, this is bold. Like, this is
Yeah, that is bold.
crazy. He
This
also
would be
did
like the
Draw My
worst
Life
time to
challenge
run
that
that gambit.
day, which turned out to be a joke, which is very confusing because the whole point of the Draw My Life challenge was for creators to open up to their audience about like their upbringing and their life experiences. Like, basically, it was a way for fans to connect with the creators they enjoy. Like, that was the entire point of the trend. Why did you make this a joke, Richie? Like, but anyways, we also get another Q&A in late January where he talks a little bit about his experience in relationships and some of his preferences.
lots of alcohol and self-loathing. I normally consider myself a pretty level-headed person for a lot of aspects of my life, but when it comes to heartbreak and bad relationships, I become a crazy person. I guess the answer to that is not very well. I didn't deal with heartbreak very well. Definitely YouTube, because I can post videos anywhere I want. Tie someone up. Big booty hose.
I don't want to sound like a broken record. I know I repeat myself a lot. Many of you call me out for that in the comments. I'm trying to get better at not being super redundant in my videos. I also don't want to paint every single thing Richie does with a predatory brush stroke just because of my opinions based on evidence. But Richie makes a ton of crude and sexual jokes in his videos, which by itself, I don't have an issue with that. But I think when you make these kinds of jokes constantly, when you know exactly who your audience is and who is watching, like, your platform is your platform. Fair. I get that. I'm a YouTuber. I get it, right? But if I knew, like, for sure, right? If I knew for certain.
Type of guy who insists on bringing Cards Against Humanity to every function.
that young children were my primary audience demographic, like the majority of my fan base, the overwhelming majority, I think I would feel a bit uncomfortable talking about like the categories I watch. You know what I mean? Like, you get what I'm saying? We have been having similar conversations for years now about people like Shane Dawson and Miranda Sings, both of whom were also known for making very charged jokes while also having an audience of primarily young children. And FYI, no, this is not a bad nor a shameful thing. This is not some purity culture. Okay, I was raised very Catholic. I stopped being Catholic when I was 16. We're all positive here, okay? Like, trust me, like, that's fine. But it's not something that children should be learning about from a YouTuber in a headdress who is normalizing these kinds of topics to his child fans that he then preys upon the moment they become of age. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying, okay? In early February, we get a birthday vlog where Richie shows himself with Isla and friends getting a tattoo. And then in early March 2016, on the 2nd, we get a Yalta tour diary where he shows a bunch of different clips from meeting fans and live performances on the tour. Again, I don't even have to look at this crowd for more than 2 seconds to clearly see these are mostly children. Then March 8th hits. This is actually a unique video from Richie. It's not quite like any of his other ones, even his vlog.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I think there's a. That's just a tough one. I mean, I myself have criticized like David Dobrik for explicitly catering to a child audience and then like frequently having porn stars like guest feature in the vlogs and stuff. I think that's a little suspect. In music, it's pretty like pretty normalized though. Like a lot of really giant acts are like pretty overtly sexual, and then will like, you know, also interact with like younger fans to a degree. I don't know. It's
that are more personal. This is a much more personal and candid video where Richie opens up about how he's been struggling mentally, he's been in a creative rut, and also that there was apparently some drama while he was on tour.
You guys. So as many of you know, I'm generally a pretty sad, pretty pessimistic person. That's how I've always been. That's how we've grown up with you guys. My family, they would absolutely agree. But lately, it's been getting worse, like a lot worse. And I feel like this past tour, while it was successful and people came out, people bought merch, we did what we had to do, it really tipped it over to make my depression kind of a little too serious, because, you know, I poke fun at it a lot, and, you know, Yolta isn't exactly, you know, having an anthem. But lately, it's hard to get out of bed every day. And being a YouTuber and an internet person and a musician, you have to be very self-motivated. And I'm losing my mind. Like, creatively, I've hit a rut since Yalta. I released Yalta, and since then, my YouTube channel has gotten much more popular. And I'm making these videos that I don't care about. I'm making them for you guys. And originally, I've done social repose for myself. And I never wanted to stray away from that ideal that I do everything for myself. And I just hope that you guys can relate to what I'm doing. I don't want to bend to my fan base. I just hope that my fan base can bend to me.
I know that Richie is clearly displaying a lot more vulnerability in this video, and I don't want to dismiss that or minimize that, right?
I will.
However, I am so sorry, but that statement...
Well, that I do everything for myself, and I just hope that you guys can relate to what I'm doing. I don't want to bend to my fan base. I just hope that my fan base can bend to me.
...is just so revealing, and I think so perfectly encapsulates Richie's mindset and his approach to a lot of the decisions he makes and just, like, life in general. I do everything for myself. I don't want to bend to my fan base. I just hope they can bend to me. He really has been telling us the whole time the kind of person he is. Like, we haven't even gotten to the cheating, y'all. We haven't even gotten that far. And already I can point out so many statements and things he has done just between 2011 and 2016 that could not have been more spot on with the choices he will go on to make. Even the big booty hose comment, like even that stuff. The red flags were there since the beginning, like genuinely. He does eventually make a follow-up video to this one after receiving an outpour of concern and support from fans, as well as emails from parents of fans. He also announces that he will be going on tour again, this time with Whitney Payton, who he toured with before with Blood on the Dance Floor, and Hair Jordan, who was also another emo popular YouTuber at the time.
So it's good. I just want to let you know that I'm coming through your city with Social Repose. I'm really excited. Actually, I've toured with them before, and even though our styles are different, we are very similar with energy that we bring to the stage. So I know you're gonna like us. It's kind of like if Dark Knight or Harley Quinn toured together, and if Harley Quinn rapped,
it's the way she said this.
You did not just say that shit. Hold on. Hold on.
Your city with Social Repose. I'm really excited. Actually, I've toured with them before, and even though our styles are different, we are very similar with energy that we bring to the stage. So I know you're gonna like us. It's kind of like if Dark Knight or Harley Quinn toured together, and if Harley Quinn
kind of like Dark Knight, Harley Quinn toured together. Okay, I love that.
Stage. So I know you're gonna like us. It's kind of like if Dark Knight or Harley Quinn toured together, and if Harley Quinn rapped and Batman wore a headdress.
It's the way she said this like this was a flex. That is actually a nightmare. Richie also uploaded a video on my birthday in 2016 titled "Every MDE Intro Ever."
Guys, I just noticed something, and I wanna I want to address it with you in case I feel like statistically there has to be one person who's noticed it and been like questioning. Okay. When I go to my apps here and you see in my downloads folder, a young man of a particularly impressive physique taking a selfie in the mirror. That was a Predator I was doing a video on. That was a members only video about a Predator. That's in the evidence locker, okay? All right. That was not a sly boy bisexual moment. All right. I just want to nip that one in the bud because I just realized I've been flashing you guys with that and thought it might be prudent to address it.
Which is boring, except the beginning consists of Ronnie Radke bullying.
So, I heard the warp dates were announced a couple days ago. There's only room for one trash can on Warp Tour, and it's gonna be me.
As a Ronnie Radke mega hater, I approve of this message. And on my birthday? That is literally the best gift I could ask for. Ronnie, your days are numbered. Listen, the deep dive is coming. It's coming. Don't you worry. But also at the end of March is when the Leafy is here drama starts to happen. Yes, I bet that's a name you have not heard in years. In this video, he just reacts to Leafy after some drama that took place with Leafy, I guess, making fun of another creator, which he did that constantly. That's kind of what he was known for. But apparently he didn't know the creator had autism. So I'm gonna guess whatever Leafy said about this creator was probably some, like, ableist, offensive BS, whatever. And I'm just gonna note this now because a little later in the timeline, Leafy will actually respond to Richie directly.
I just had a thought. I've said for a long time on this channel, at 1 million subscribers, I will get the official autism evaluation. If I get that diagnosed, I could use that. I could use that as a shield for a lot of different things. I could really employ that buff.
And it's a whole thing. It's its own controversy. But this is where that drama begins. Just noting. Now we are in April. April is when Richie's public perception really starts to decline. And this is because of the controversy involving the MDE tour,
Happy
as
birthday,
well as the MDE
okay, thank
fallout.
you. Thank you.
So like I said much earlier in this deep dive, MDE blew up very quickly. And not only were they invited to Warped Tour 2015, but they got so big that they had their own full MDE tour in the beginning of 2016. Richie was not a part of this tour. But he chose to attend one of the dates that was closest to him with his girlfriend Isla, which was the Philadelphia date that was about 2.5 hours away. So what happened at this show? Or better yet, what did Richie do this time? Richie made a full video following the incident a day later on April 9th, 2016, titled My Experience at the MDE Tour. I am actually just gonna let Richie, in his own words, explain exactly what happened.
Because I went to the My Digital Escape Tour last night.
Okay, start timer, talk amongst yourselves. Okay, 14 seconds. I know someone's going to ask. Obviously, the 14 seconds were allotted. I will remind you, I got 4 buttons on this. I was going to say on this bitch, referring to my jeans, but I can't recall whether I'm currently in possession of a B-word pass or not. So I will forgo saying that.
But instead I'm uploading this video because I am shocked, appalled, and...
Martyr coming in here. No, sorry, not Martyr. Who said it? Catherine coming in here saying, did you wash your hands? What is this with the tomatoes? I don't like this. This feels like assault. This is battery.
Ultimately disgusted with how last night went. So before I dive into what exactly happened, I'm going to give you a little bit of exposition for the viewers that don't follow me very closely or watch all of my videos. I've been a featured guest on the channel My Digital Escape for about 7 times now as of last week. The very first time I was posted in MDE was in my YouTube infancy when my channel was very small and MDE was under 100,000 subscribers. So it was a long time ago. And when someone asks me to make a video for My Digital Escape, I don't take the request lightly. I spend dozens of hours on these videos, I make intricate introductions, and I make sure the videos are worth watching. And I also never turn down an opportunity to make a video for MDE because the community and the YouTubers affiliated with the channel preach tolerance, they preach positivity, they preach not giving up. It's a very positive environment that while my channel doesn't always preach, they do, and I always respect that and want to be a part of it. I've even made some friends with my connection with MDE. That being Brian Stars and Johnny and the rest of the gang. They actually had me over at their apartment last Christmas, and we made a ton of videos. Alex and Robbie and a few other people were there, and it was honestly an awesome experience. I love those guys to death. I consider them my good friends, and I hope they consider me a friend as well. Now, I'm going to give you exactly what happened last night and why I'm making this video. So the show was in Philadelphia, and I'm from DC, which is about 2.5 hours away, but it was the closest tour date, and I decided to bring my girlfriend. So about halfway through the drive, I get a ominous phone call from my manager, who is also tied with My Digital Escape, making communication pretty easy and straightforward. We went through the typical stuff that we normally talk about, but then he asked me if I'm wearing my full outfit to the show tonight, and of course I said yes, I am, because I've worn variations of this outfit to pretty much every single show I've been to in the past year and a half. It's part of my identity. It's how I choose to look, and it's how I'm comfortable dressing. And after that, we went kind of back and forth. He told me that there might be some issues with me causing too much attention and maybe taking some of the spotlight off the tour since I'm not actually a featured act on the tour, and maybe just to keep things low-key and just to try my absolute best to kind of stay away from the big crowds, maybe stay in the back, just keep it very low-key. So obviously I agreed to this, and it's never my intention to cause a ruckus at shows that aren't mine. So we rolled up to the venue, and I was immediately confronted by the tour manager, who was an incredibly sweet guy. He was very understanding. He told me that, he wanted me there and that everything should go to plan. Just, follow what he says, follow some rules, just follow the basic guidelines of not being downstairs and being on the balcony.
Yeah, I only sit down on ladies' night.
And just have some basic show etiquette, which I understand. I understand show etiquette. This was the very first time I had rules put on me because I was popular and because I dressed differently. So I was escorted into the venue by the tour manager. We tried to cut in the back of the crowd to get to the entrance to the balcony area, and this happened. Now, we anticipated some commotion, and obviously some people were going to see me and get very excited and want pictures, but the goal of my entrance was to not cause any commotion and to try and get to a point of isolation as fast as possible, which would be the parent area up on top of the balcony. The crowd was incredibly dense, and even getting upstairs to the balcony was tough because the show was sold out. I refused any kind of pictures until I got to the top there, and even when I reached the top of the balcony in the back of the venue, I noticed a line forming, and I promptly told everyone to wait until the changeovers, and I did that for the rest of the show. Now, for most shows, people just get really excited for the first few minutes. I sign some stuff, I take pictures, everyone calms down, I can be a regular human being and enjoy the show. But for the show, I wasn't allowed to do that. I was forced into isolation with all the other parents, just kind of hanging out with everyone on the top, and I watched the show from there, which, by the way, it's a very good show. I recommend you go to this tour.
Richard. Can I call you Richard? Do you prefer Richie? That's a joke. I
Dick?
don't actually care. You knew.
She start calling him
Damn
Dick.
well.
Dick
You
Repose.
knew damn well exactly what you were doing when you showed up to that show in your full headdress and wings, knowing that you were gonna have fans there. You tried to steal the show from those kids, Richie. You tried to steal the show from those kids. You always need to be the center of attention. Always. And when you aren't, then you have to do things to make yourself the center of attention.
I like the oranges.
The way you act all like
nice.
naive as though you just like didn't know that like fans would recognize you and like get excited and form a line to meet you and therefore like stealing the spotlight away from the actual performers is ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Like, who do you think you are fooling, Richie? Who do you think you are fooling?
Which seems very fair. So when Jordan Sweeto ended his set, he played his final song and the house music came on. I made a break for the back of the venue towards the entrance. So if things got too crazy and I was being too much of a nuisance for my existence, I could leave. And when I noticed all the members from MD getting back on stage for an encore, I promptly left the building. Mind you, it was raining outside and my outfit is not exactly waterproof. I stood outside for about 10 or 15 minutes, waited for them to finish, and then I was confronted by another production person who worked with the tour, who very sternly told me that I was not allowed back in the venue until the merch was done and the meet and greets were done, which I was specifically told that I was allowed to come into to take pictures. So essentially, I wasn't allowed back in the building until all the fans had left the building, which... yeah. So I sent my girlfriend to wait in the car where it was warm, and I stood out and took pictures with the people that were trickling out. And after I decided that I was getting a little too... to go home, because I can take a hint like anyone. I wasn't wanted. And when I got in my car, my girlfriend hands me my phone and tells me that Tyler's been subtweeting me about how rude I was at the show with, dressing up. On top of various ranting about show etiquette. So I was faced with a dilemma here. Do I go home and brood about it and just let it go, or do I confront Tyler about the situation? Because I assume that we're all friends here. I'm on the channel all the time. I talk with these people all the time. I assume they have my back. And I figured he was in the venue. He was right there. I'm just going to go talk to him and just try and switch the beef. And that's exactly what I did. I found the tour manager outside the bus. I asked him to get Tyler because we should speak. And then I ended up waiting about 10 or 15 minutes for him to go get him because obviously it's a show, they're busy. And in that time, I was approached by a lot of fans who were waiting outside the bus who wanted my my picture. But then I was confronted by Shannon and Kyle telling me I wasn't allowed to take pictures in front of the bus and that I needed to leave. Let me tell you, they were not the friendliest about it, and I told them I absolutely would. So I put a bunch of distance between me and the tour bus until I was met by Tyler. We had a very civil conversation, and I was actually very surprised and happy with how things went. And it was overall, I think it was very constructive, and he ended up deleting the tweets. That was the end of it. That I had crushed this misunderstanding. Apparently it was miscommunication. They thought I wasn't going to dress up, but I did, until on the drive home I noticed that other members of MDE were retweeting Tyler's subtweets about me. I'm not making this video because of a simple miscommunication. I'm making this video because of how I was treated, and how certain members of MDE demanded I dress down in order to conform, to look like a regular person, so I don't pop out and steal their spotlight.
Listen, Tyler had every right to say that. He had every right. You were not part of that show. You were not part of that show, Richie. And you, as an experienced musician,
I care so little about this drama,
would know better than anyone the proper show etiquette, and anyone in your position would know enough to not show up in the wings. Like, be serious.
I will shoot. I need the
It's not like
the audio. Where's the audio?
God, oh my God, God forbid. God forbid. Wah, wah, wah.
All right, Barcam doesn't have audio right now.
Normie once in their entire lives. Oh no, oh no, oh no, run for cover. There's gonna be a freaking hurricane. Oh no. But like, no, seriously, I'm sure there were many visibly alternative people there. You could have just dressed alternative, Richie. You did not need the headdress. You know that. The way you're just all like, oh, well, like, this is the first time I've had rules put on me because I dress differently and I'm popular. Like, bro, just stop. Just stop. Like, stop. Stop. How old are you, first of all? That sounds like something a 16-year-old would say. You are 25, bro. Actually, I think, no, you were 26. My bad. Correction. You were 26 at this point. Like, you're 26, bro. Be serious. Be serious. You wanted to steal the show from those children. That is what you wanted to do, Richie, in my opinion. Probably because you were bitter that you were not chosen to be a part of MDE in the first place. Even though Brian Stars used you.
Yeah, I don't even think it's that deep. I think he just, I think, what's an appropriate word I can use? I think he's just a little goober who wants to be the center of attention.
Times and used your talents many
We all know
times
the type.
for the MDE channel. You are not naive and you are not stupid, Richie. You're not. You knew what you were doing when you did that. And they had every right to like subtweet you, call you out direct.
People saying address the elephant in the room. What's the elephant in the room? I do not see an elephant.
Like all of it, whatever. They had every right. Like, those people are your friends, apparently. You did that to your friends. You did that to your friends, bro. You did that to your friends. Those children, those teenagers. You did that, especially when you, as a touring musician, knows how much work that takes.
I'm hurt, I'm angry, and I think some egos need to be checked and crushed.
Yeah, I also think some egos need to be checked and crushed, like yours, Richie. Richie did also make a short live stream the night of this incident following the show, and he doesn't really say much of anything here that he didn't say in his full response. So that happens. And then, almost immediately following the MDE tour, almost immediately, another wave of controversy hits following the breakup and the fallout of MDE. Yes,
That's nice.
MDE broke up pretty shortly after the MDE tour. And there are multiple reasons for this. Money was one of the main issues, but aside from that, there were also many allegations of inappropriate behavior, a lot of which was actually posted in MDE's content. You can see children being forced to engage in intimate acts with one another, as well as playing with intimate adult objects. And they also allege that Brian stole quite a bit of money from them. And each of the members spoke out with their own perspective of events and what took place.
Man, musicians are just such terrible people, dude. Having been primarily around musicians most of my life, it shocks me how much worse they are than the average human being.
I normally would go into more detail about the fallout of this, but actually I've stated on my channel multiple times before that I do plan on doing a full MDE and Brian Stars deep dive. Probably
Subway
after
Surfers in the
Social
corner?
Repose
That would
is
actually be
finished, we'll
huge
see.
to have
and
on
I will
tap.
be extremely thorough in that video. Don't worry. But yes, so the breakup happens. There's quite
Hold
a bit
on,
of fallout.
I might have
And
something
in this
better, though.
fallout, a lot of evidence was brought to the surface, including text exchanges between members, alleging that the incident with Richie at the Philly show was at least one of the reasons for why the fallout happened. That controversy, as well as Richie's video, sparked backlash on both sides. Yes, I would say Richie got the brunt of it, and rightfully so, he deserved it. But considering Social Repose, Brian Stars, and MDE had an overlapping audience, the fan base was definitely very divided. And Richie had specifically called out not just Tyler, but also Shannon and Kyle, and then vaguely called out other MDE members, which could have been anyone, obviously. So all of this leads to the fallout of MDE. But it doesn't actually end there, because a few months later, in late September of 2016, MDE got a relaunch. My Digital Escape 2.0, and this relaunch did not feature any of the original members. Instead, it had all new members. I have yet to recover the original 2.0 video that was posted on the MDE channel. It was promptly deleted by Brian after swift backlash, and I have not been able to recover it. I have not been able to archive it so far. But I watched this video years ago, like many other people, like when it dropped. And in this 2.0 video, we are shown brief clips of who the new members allegedly are going to be. And one of those members was none other than Richard Geese, aka Social Repose. Yeah. Richie so very kindly decided to screw over his friends so that he could get the opportunity to further himself and his career once more. So this 2.0 video drops, and so does everyone's jaws at the audacity. And the launch was set to happen 2 days after the 2.0 video was uploaded, but it never got that far. And MDE 2.0 ended before it even ever began. This was because multiple original MDE members spoke out against the MDE relaunch. They had all unanimously decided that ending MDE was the right thing to do. But Brian did not want to let it go. And he had been planning to go against the original members' wishes and relaunch it, and this had been the plan apparently for months. Of the original members, Johnny, Alex, and Shannon were especially vocal. And Johnny and Alex both kind of called out Richie specifically for choosing to be a part of the new MDE crew, not necessarily by name, but they vaguely hint at the fact that they're talking about Richie specifically.
I'm gonna end this at this. If you guys want to support the new channel, or the revamped My Digital Escape, I guess that's been stolen, you can do that. Don't send them hate, but just know this is how me, Alex, and I'm sure every other member that was in the channel feel. They feel really used. Actually, they were really used, and they were stabbed in the back hard. So if you guys want to support a channel that, I guess, does that, then go ahead. But, and I don't want you guys to send hate to the new members that are going to be in the group, because they're not really a part of this. They're just joining the channel, whatever. I don't care, honestly. The one person I have a problem with, I'm sure you guys all know, and I'm sure you guys can all see why I have a problem with them. I mean, there wouldn't be this many people calling you out if there wasn't,
No, I'm Protestant.
if you weren't such an asshole. Like, why would I have the need to call you out about this if you weren't a jerk and you didn't actually do all this stuff?
And this will actually be
I like the
confirmed when
Catholic
Richie
aesthetic,
makes his
though.
own response
Don't
to
like
the
the
situation
theology.
titled MDE 2.0. And Richie gives us his version of events, as well as why he chose to be part of the new MDE crew, but states that he has decided to step down because he didn't have Johnny and Alex's approval.
Oh, this is the moment you've all been waiting for, the My Digital Escape 2.0, I guess, rebuttal. I don't really know what this is. It's more of a response video to Johnny Gilbert and Alex Durame's videos that they've created, ranting, crying, just being generally pissed off about the state of My Digital Escape.
This really is something that like deeply hurts me.
And I'm really
I'm gonna speed
hoping
this up a
video
little bit
serves as kind of like a
because
conclusion to all this drama, hopefully, or at least diffuses things. I want to say things in this video that have not been said or have not been added to the
This
so
is
far
very
one-sided
dramatic.
argument, pretty much between all the members of MDE, or at least ones that made videos, against Brian Stars and kind of all the suspects that have been supposedly involved in MDE 2.0. So let's start with some exposition, shall we, just to kind of build you up for the big climax. Oh boy, I'm excited. I hope you are too. So B-Stars, Brian Stars, former member of My Digital Escape, now internet antichrist according to all the old members of My Digital Escape, hit me up a couple months ago, pretty much proposing to me the idea of joining this brand new My Digital Escape 2.0. He kind of started naming off the YouTubers that have already confirmed, which I'm not going to put in this video, and they were all friends of mine, all very big YouTubers. Seems like a great idea at the time, which I tend to say to myself a lot before shit hits the fan. But honestly, I was very excited about this opportunity, this idea to be part of a collab channel.
I'm sure you were very excited, Richie. In fact, I'm sure you were thrilled. I mean, this is what you always wanted, wasn't it?
Didn't really think that being part of the MDE brand would cause, I guess, so much turmoil and anger towards the community. But as things progressed and more details kind of unfolded, I was very hesitant to agree to be part of this new collab channel, whether it be My Digital Escape or a brand new channel. But wheels were definitely turning, if you will. And Brian Stars was definitely the leader of this group. He was organizing everything. Everyone else was kind of along for the ride. And he really wanted to use MDE brand simply because it's kind of his baby, it's his thing. He never really intended MDE to end. And obviously, that's iffy to me from the beginning. But since there were so many good names, really good people involved with this, it was really tough to say no. So I was kind of a tentative yes for a few months.
You were hesitant. Okay. You were hesitant, but you said yes for a few months? So for a few months, you were completely on board with replacing the original members, your friends, after what went down post MDE disband and all of the allegations against Brian? And for a few months, you were totally on board with that? Okay, got it.
Friends there, including Johnny Gilbert, Alex Rame, previous members, good friends of mine, and I kind of had a talk with them. I wasn't totally confirmed with this idea of new MDE yet, but I wanted to kind of talk to especially Johnny about it because I knew he was on great terms with Brian. And essentially the feel that I got after hanging out with Johnny for a while is that he seemed pretty defeated with the idea of My Digital Escape. He was pretty mad at Brian, but he wasn't totally opposed to the concept of MDE being resurrected. He even expressed very mild interest on coming back to it, even though I doubted it just because of all the drama and nastiness that happened before. I didn't blame him for not wanting to be a part of it. But at the same time, I didn't see that level of anger and passion in him for me to totally jump ship and just say, collaboration idea altogether or start a new channel.
They are teenagers, Richie. Like, need I remind everyone that we are talking about two
Oh
grown
yeah, I
adults?
don't know how to get rid of that sign into chat thing. That does look incredibly janky. Wait. Okay. All right. I don't know what's going on in OBS right now.
Brian, Richie, 26
We're embracing
years
the
old at this
amateur
point.
hour.
We are talking about two teenagers, some of which Richie claims are his close friends. Who would do this to a close friend? You stabbed your friends in the back, Richie.
Ago, the big trailer is released saying My Digital Escape 2.0 is the thing. There was going to be a members announcement today. Lots of excitement in the air. Obviously, it was met by anger from the fans and then an onslaught of very angry videos, including Johnny Gilbert and Alex Durame. And I knew right when they made those videos, I saw Alex crying. Johnny was pissed off. The videos were over 30 minutes in length total. Pretty much saying how they would never agree to this. Their hate for Brian Stars had escalated. And I don't know, right then and there, I knew it was going down. It was really shaky. Without the blessing from the people I give about, which is Johnny Gilbert and Alex Durame from the MD. I don't really have affiliation with any of the members. At least without a sort of blessing from them or an okay from them to use the MD brand name, I could never be a part of something like that. So I'm saying it first. MD 2.0 is not a thing. It's not happening.
Do you know what I think, Richie? I don't think your choice to not be part of MDE 2.0 in the end had anything to do with not having Johnny and Alex's blessing. I think, per usual, that is a bold-faced lie. I am not any of the original MDE members, obviously, and I am merely an observer on the internet, just like I was back then when this all went down. And I am not
Does Social Repose even have fans anymore? I saw, oh, wait. What's happening? What happened to me? Okay. I don't know what that was about. I just saw, I mean, like, he just like gets people on TikTok who have no idea what his like YouTube history is. He gets the new bloods. I saw a video he posted, a cover he posted on TikTok the other day has like 100,000 likes on it. So he does some TikTok numbers. Doesn't really do any YouTube numbers these days.
going to tell any of them how they should feel about Richie and his involvement with Brian and the MDE 2.0 controversy or any of it, okay? They're their own people. They were there. I wasn't. They very well could know things that I don't. And if I find out following this that I said some things about this specifically that were wrong, I will promptly correct myself in my second video, or I'll remove it depending, okay? With that big disclaimer, with all of that said, as an outsider, just as an outsider, looking at all the evidence, as well as the timeline of events, this is my honest opinion. Richie, I think you have always been bitter and resentful about the fact that you were not picked to be a member of MDE when it started.
Well, I'm not really famous enough to be on that channel. That's not going to stop me from taking an idea. The topic for this week on the My Digital Escape channel is things that I hate. And seeing as I'm kind of the MDE reject, I'm going to make a video about it anyway.
I think that you thought that it wasn't fair. It wasn't fair. Since you knew Brian before any of the other members did, all the way back in 2012. And because you were becoming popular, both online and in the alternative music scene, you were already pretty established at that point. But despite that,
the orange was only on screen for 5 seconds and already became a better content creator than you. Thank you. See, this is exactly the type of community I'm trying to foster. Just constant abuse. Love that. I will say, though, we're all friends here. And it's ginger. It's ginger night, as has been established, okay? The orange is a ginger, all right? So there's 3 gingers in this situation. Riley, my mustache, and the fucking orange.
you were
2
ultimately
oranges,
not
actually.
chosen. You weren't. I'm not entirely sure why, but if I had to guess, if I honestly had to guess, it could have had to do with numbers like you kind of hinted at, but really, I think it had to do with your age. I'm going to be real. I honestly think it had to do more with your age. All of MDE consisted of teens. Most of them minors. I mean, some of them 18, 19, most of them minors, but still teens. And you and Brian were both well into your mid-20s by the time MDE began. And I think that pissed you off. And I think watching them blow up so massively within a year, being invited to be part of Warped Tour, and then going on their own tour, all of that in just under 2 years, I think you've been slightly resentful about that. So you tried your hardest to integrate yourself. Even though you couldn't be an official crew member, you still made sure to befriend the crew. You participated in challenges, you got featured, you did member collabs, you attended their shows, recorded music with them. And I think you waited very patiently for the opportunity to be part of that crew. But MDE fell through, in small part due to you, apparently, and what you did at the Philly show. So you thought, well, if I can't be part of the original crew, then I guess being a member of the relaunch is the next best thing. And here's the thing, right? Like, it's not like, I don't think you necessarily, honestly, probably hated the members, right? Like, do I think you were resentful about the fact that you weren't chosen? Yes, I do. At the same time, I'm not going to sit here and act like you didn't care for any of the members and that you guys weren't genuine friends. Like, I'm sure to some degree you definitely were. 2 things can be true at once, right? You can be bitter and resentful and jealous that you were not picked to be a part of the original crew and still, be friends with some of the original crew, right? And get along, and have fun together. Like, those 2 things can coexist. It does not have to be one or the other. And I do think those 2 things coexisted. And honestly, I don't think you backed out because you didn't have Johnny and Alex's blessing. I mean, that much is obvious. This is Richie we're talking about here, okay? Like, we all know that's not the real answer, okay? I honestly think that had the backlash not outweighed the support, you would have absolutely been a part of MDE 2.0, even if Alex and Johnny had called you out. That's what I think. I think had your own fans, not turned on you in the masses, you would not have cared less if you didn't have Johnny and Alex's support. Just so long as you had enough support from fans. Because that is the person you are, Richie. And you just hope your fans will bend to you, right?
I do everything for myself, and I just hope that you guys can relate to what I'm doing. I don't want to bend to my fan base. I just hope that my fan base can bend to me.
But thankfully, even your own fans, mostly teens, did not bend to you and held you accountable in the moment. And I think that is the only reason why you did not ultimately chose to back out of being part of MDE 2.0.
From all this is that how everyone is acting when the trailer came up. None of the members were...
Sly, you looking into the Nux Taku situation? What's that little guy up to now? No, I'm not. I didn't know there was a ongoing situation. Sounds like it might be exhausting though. I'm just getting just gut reaction. I would assume it's going to be an exhausting situation.
Officially announced the lineup besides Brian Stars, obviously, and it just became this disgusting, deplorable witch hunt.
It was not a witch hunt. Guys. This was a video. I'm going to do my absolute best to scour the internet and try to find this video.
Is it like lolly
but
stuff?
trust me when I tell you, I was there in real time, so were many other people. Trust me when I tell you, this was a video that contained clips of multiple popular alt YouTubers, including Eugenia Cooney and Social Repose, that was posted to the main MDE channel. There was no witch hunt. There was no hunt. We already knew who the new members were gonna be. You guys are liars, and I am onto you.
That anybody even remotely associated with the MDE 2.0, or even who was friends with Brian Stars, were losing subscribers. I know I lost a handful of subscribers. I've been getting hate nonstop on my Instagram, Twitter, even my recent YouTube video that has absolutely nothing to do with MDE.
Good. I am glad you lost subs, and I am glad you got hate. I am glad. You deserve it. You earned it, Richie. You did. And I normally would not be like, yeah, I support hates towards another person. Even people I don't like, even people I criticize. Like, I would normally not be that way, but my God, Richie, my God, you are so selfish. My God, you are so unapologetically selfish and self-motivated. You have no shame for your actions, ever. So maybe, honestly, maybe you needed a little bit of encouragement. Maybe you needed a little bit of hate to kind of push you in the right direction, since you can't seem to get there yourself, ever. I have heard your side of the story, and it sucks. Just like with blood on the dance floor, just like with the headdress, per usual, it sucks. It sucks.
So I hope this helps clear things up. Stay sad, not too sad.
The only thing you have cleared up, the only thing you have clarified, Richie, is just how much you value yourself and your success over your own friends and fans. To conclude part 1 of this series, you don't know Social Repose. I don't know Social Repose. I don't think any of us will truly ever know Social Repose. All we can do is look at this train wreck timeline of one f***ed up thing after another and formulate our own opinions on who Social Repose truly is. We don't know Social Repose, and we don't know what we don't know. And I have been desperately trying to solve this mystery. I genuinely cannot stop thinking about what we don't know. I started taking TMI, more of my trazodone to help me sleep better these last couple of weeks, because ever since I started researching for this, I've been like neurotically fixated on him and Davi and the Reckoning Tour, the phone calls with fans, the screenshots we have with the 15-year-old. I can't stop thinking about what we don't know. I can't stop thinking about it. And I don't know if I ever will. But yeah, that is going to conclude part 1 of the Social Repose deep dive. In part 2, we will go over Richie's relationship history, his past of chronic infidelity, as well as some other things such as his drama with Onision, Ronnie Radke, yeah, Crank That Frank. We'll also be talking about the fan that came to Richie's house and later took her own life. Yeah, it never ends. It truly never ends. But yeah, anyways, with that, I hope you all have a lovely day or night, depending on where you are, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.
Incredible. Okay. So, is Riley, are you still here? Is there a part 2 still coming out? I mean, I know there's been more out. Yeah, and of course, thanks for being here with us too. Maybe. Says maybe. Any updates? I assume not. I mean, I assume you're just kind of locked in, like, whatever. I really doubt the cease and desist thing is gonna go anywhere. I mean, don't quote me on that, but that's usually just designed to be a scare tactic and nothing else. He sent an immediate demand for retraction letter. Okay. Oh, Grayson, welcome to the inner circle. Appreciate you. Immediate demand for retraction letter. I mean, I don't know, like, because you were saying on, hold on. Let me pull your channel up really quick. I'm not sure. I think your most recent video, or whichever video. Yeah, it was the most recent video that you were going over like the legal stuff, and you were saying like, "Oh, the lawsuit's done. The lawsuit's done." I'm gonna just tell you, just because someone doesn't have a case doesn't mean they're not gonna sue you. Like, it depends on how hardball he wants to be. That's all it's a matter of. So, you know, we'll be on your side. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. I don't think it's likely to happen again, because usually I feel like these things are just scare tactics. But there's certainly a lot of material that you have now that they can comb through and attempt to be like, you know, she implied that I was this here, here, and here. Again, not that they have a case at all, but you don't need to have much of a case to just drag someone through litigation. However, he also doesn't strike me as the type of person who has like the fuck you money to like carry out a lawsuit like that. You know what I'm saying? Sly, are you going to cover the Epstein stuff? I haven't even touched the Epstein stuff. I don't know. Not sure if I'm going to do anything with that. Who is Katie? I believe she's referring to the individual that she brings up in this most recent video, who Social Repose was very clearly attempting to sleep with when she was 17. Yeah, I don't think Richie wants smoke either. I think he knows that there's just like an awful lot you can get away with by abusing like DMCA on YouTube and sending frivolous cease and desists and stuff like that. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's getting traction. Riley, you know, let me know if I can be of any help in anything. All right, anyway. I've been dying to make this cocktail. So we'll do a bar segment and I'll have chat. The technology is advancing, okay? So I will have chat. I'll just pull chat up on my phone. That was the problem last time. There we go. All right, this is... Oh, can I pull chat up right in the YouTube Studio app? Shit. All right, amateur hours back. Oh, the chat's so tiny, too. Okay, there we go. That's pretty good. Okay, do I still have audio? Okay, bar cam. Something weird happened with bar cam. There we go. All right. Oh, Sam, thank you for the 5 gift subs. Or memberships. I don't know what the shit is called. Appreciate you, brother. Or sister. I guess Sam could be a girl's name. All right. I'm gonna put the oranges to the side. All right, how we feeling? It's been a second since I've made this. Oh. Oh my gosh. What is happening to me? Okay. Amateur hours. Okay, amateur hour may have struck again, unfortunately. Okay, so I'm going to do... We're doing Saint Germain. How much of that I'm doing? I already fucked this up. Fuck it. You know what? I'm not gonna make the thing I was gonna make. It's too complicated. We're just gonna do that with gin and call it a night. Oh my gosh. Okay, that may have been a little more amateur hour than I was expecting. Okay, we're still ironing out the kinks of the bar cam situation, as you can see. I don't think this is going to be particularly good. Yeah, it's terrible. Fuck. Hold on. Oh, that's so bad. That's absolutely horrible. Sly addressed the future drunk allegations. I mean, there's not... I'm going to be doing that shit. I don't know what to tell you. All right, floating tonic water to attempt to save this. Oh, man. Okay, well, that's... Feels nice to be caught up. The Riley saga was kind of a little bit of a whirlwind, but feels cool. Feels like I've made an ally. I can't wait to do like a casual live stream again. Been too many serious ones, you know? We love you, Sly. I love you too, Biker Coffee. Yeah, I say next live stream hopefully will be a casual Tuesday, maybe. A little casual Tuesday stream. Something like that. And then at some point, Ladies' Night shall return. No. Ladies' Night is a different night than casual stream. No, I hate you, Sly. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty. I apologize, Arizona. I don't know what I did wrong, but I apologize. Yeah, Casual Tuesday coming up, Ladies' Night coming up. I don't know what else. Got to work on some new videos. I got one in the works right now, but it'll be a little bit more of an undertaking, I think. I tolerate you, Sly. Okay. Okay. So we kind of have a range of emotions in chat tonight. A call-in show. Wait, that's kind of a good idea. Is that a liability, though? If I have a call-in show and some anonymous person just starts spamming slurs on frame one, do I get banned? Or is it, like, chill? Are they, like, understanding of that? Just not monetized. Well, I'm talking more about Twitch. I feel like they're more aggressive about that stuff. Fuck it. Who cares? Depends on slur. Well, many things do. Many things do depend on slur. All right. All right, you know what? I'm going to put that in my my ideas notebook. Casual Tuesday stream with call-ins. It could be fire. I just spilled on myself. Fuck. The second I finished that video, this stream just completely went off the rails. Fan art stream? Well, that depends on people making art. Slur tier list? That does sound fun, but I just don't think I don't think that would behoove my career. Because I probably would have some actually, like, I would have some thoughts, some real talk thoughts about that, and it would just be like a little bit too logical, I think. Remember the last fan art stream? Yeah, I was there. I wish I couldn't remember it, frankly. I make art of you, I just don't share it? That's almost creepier. Damn. Yeah. Yeah, I think if people drop those in the fucking like Gmail or whatever, I'll you know, I can pull shit up on stream, I guess. I keep making art of you for personal reasons. It's you enjoying Nico Neon Girls. Sly enjoying Nico Neon Girls. Amazing. Is the stream still going? I had to have a smoke break. No, the stream is not still going. You're actually having a stroke. This is all just an illusion. Replaying in the synapses of your brain as you go into that gentle dark night. I have a fan art idea. That's a very ominous sentence. No need to come out here with that. Shot collar. Ooh, that was an idea that I never quite figured out the technology on. Which, you know, makes sense. I can't even figure out the technology to multi-stream on Twitch. What's your opinion of instrumental covers? Don't care. Yeah, I didn't quite figure out the technology on it, but I wanted to have like to have like a shock collar with like a, what are those tiny little computers called? There's like tiny little computers that you can custom program really easy. Is it like an Apple Pi or something? I don't know. It shows you how much tech stuff I know. Yeah, Pi. Custom program it and hook it up with like a cell phone or something so that a mod can, from wherever they are, remotely shock me if I say while I'm streaming, to like cure me like Hassan style of saying because I want to say that less. It would make for better content, it would make me a better streamer, and it would make editing easier because I say way too fucking much when I'm recording. I would love to get that technology figured out. It is super, super, hypothetically possible, but it would take someone who is pretty darn savvy with stuff like that, which is not me. Put a GoPro on your head and stream a POV at the same time. I'm getting creative in here. Make Arizona. Oh, is Arizona not a mod? All right, don't abuse your power. With great power comes great responsibility. Abraham Lincoln. All right? Yeah, Toby, you can be a mod. Virgin Mary Slyboy sounds weird as a painting, but trust guys, it's peak. Okay. All right. Okay. Have you seen the Spider Noir trailer? Yes, I have. Yeah. I mean, listen, I love Nick Cage. I love that they like shot it in black and white. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know. I just like I don't really get hype about TV shows. I often just like dislike the format of TV shows, honestly. Do you read email inquiries? Depends on what's being inquired, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, the email's there for a reason. I will read stuff that I see. I certainly don't respond to most email inquiries. But a decent chunk of my videos at this point have been because somebody reached out to me via email and was like, hey, you should look into this. Appreciate you, Ducky. Anyway, gang, I think that's about it. I just wanted to make a cocktail and hang with you guys for a second because I appreciate all of you. And I'm sorry that this cocktail, I kind of slide canceled doing a fancy cocktail because I was like, realized I wasn't in the headspace, but I was already at the board. So I was like, all right, let me throw some bullshit together. And bullshit I did throw together. This shit is ass. It's all right. It's not too bad. It's not amazing. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. I'm gonna really, really try to get Twitch to actually work for next time. I nearly had an aneurysm trying to get that shit off the ground. I need. I need help. I need help. But anyway. All right. GG's chat. Thanks everybody for not being sexist pieces of shit. All right. As apparently we've been known to be. Yeah, and everybody was super courteous to Riley, so I appreciate that. And yeah, million subscribers coming up really quick. Coming up, this is the ground floor. This is like the second level. I feel like I had an initial ground floor. We've reached second level. This is still like infrastructure stuff. So appreciate you guys contributing. Appreciate you guys caring enough to spend time here in the community here on a Saturday night. Hope everybody had a great Valentine's Day. And yeah, I'll talk to you guys real soon. Okay. I'll